you're never fulfilled, you're never satisfied, you're never happy, you don't celebrate moments, you move on to the next thing. And I was once 16 starting a professional career, and then next minute I was 35, and it went in a blink of an eye.
We keep going back to it's finding what's good for you. Just because someone else does X, Y, Z, you don't have to necessarily do it.
Yeah.
Maybe give it a go. Don't feel the peer pressure to have to do it. You have to find what's good for you and what works for you.
You're not meant to like everything, and you're meant to feel things. Like, I'm meant to feel heartbreak in my life. I'm meant to feel sadness. I'm meant to feel joy. I'm meant to feel loss. I'm meant to feel sad. I'm meant to feel all the things, and you can't protect yourself against them. And I think this younger generation, often we're now trying to like stop them and protect them at all costs.
You made a point that it's not going to happen overnight. You're not just going to wake up magically healed or in a better place the next day.
No.
It's a process and it's a journey, and there'll be up days, down days.
I would say most people achieve more things by trying to prove people wrong and using other people's negativity than anything else. There's a great book I read actually called You're Not That Great. And it's basically the point of going, someone tells you not to do it, you're more likely to do it. Someone goes, you're brilliant. We're not really programmed like that. It's nice to have positivity, but negativity is a really powerful tool that's very unfashionable, but it's something I use all the time. And how you treat your body, how you treat your mind, how you treat other people, and how hard you work. And they're the only certainties you have in life. You can't make people like you, you can't change people. You can only keep turning up and putting yourself out there.
So James, when you hear the phrase, I got back up, what does it make you think and feel?
I think for me, getting back up is always something that you always have to do. I've always had to do. I think life throws you many curveballs, whether it's injury, setbacks, media things, divorce, loss, like bereavement. I think the secret to life is getting back up the whole time, really, for me. And I think the people who achieve get back up, those who don't get back up, or never get back up, or they become defined by what happened to them, so they don't get up, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I think as a sportsman, even in the most basic part, you always have to get back up through loss, injury, failure. Just the very fact my sport used to be rugby, so I would get knocked down, you'd have to get back up again all the time. So it was a lesson that I learned very quickly. And actually, there's an app called Headway, which you can get synopsis of loads of different books and stuff that's done. I think must be done by AI. You can get like sort of 50-minute synopsis, and I end up reading loads or listening to loads of sort of self-help books, and not because I can't really read them. I like reading fiction books. I read a lot or listen to audiobooks, but there's always things you can learn. And actually, all the most successful people, the universal lesson across all of it is, if you lose, you have to get back up. If you fail, you have to get back up. If you have injuries, you have to get back up. If your relationship breaks down, you have to get back up. And life, you learn more from getting back up than you do about anything else. And that's basically the secret to it. But people often don't, or they become overshadowed by what's happened to them, so they don't get up. They don't feel like they can get up. But that's the only way you become successful. You fall down, you get back up. Even from that sequence from Batman Begins, when he falls down that well, he says the reason we fall is because we have to get back up, and that's the secret to it, really.
Yeah, it's fall down 7 times, get back up 8.
Yeah, that's it. But and also the 7th time that you don't want to get up anymore is you're probably one part away from being successful. There's that meme that goes around of 2 people digging a hole, and underneath the guy's pickaxe is gold, and all he had to do was just keep on going. And if he quit, he would never have found the gold. But if you keep going, you find the gold. And I think life is, without being very morbid, we've dressed up life to be this sort of really amazing adventure for each one of us. But actually, we're born, we die, we're here for a period of time, some short, some long. After 100 years, many people aren't remembered. After 200 years, it was like no one was ever there, unless you do something very profound or create a theory like Newton's law or whatever it is. Most people don't leave that mark. And so I think life is all about striving to be the best that you can be and be slightly better today than you were yesterday. And that's kind of the way I've always thought about it. And, whatever your talents and limitations are, I think there's probably 4 things you can control, which is how you treat your body, how you treat your mind, how you treat other people, and how hard you work. And they're the only certainties you have in life. You can't make people like you, you can't change people. you can only keep turning up and putting yourself out there to be successful, and you can put yourself in the better places to achieve. But that's it, and and then there's people that are very able-bodied who squander the gifts they have, and there are people that have horrific disabilities that, in their own context, achieve more than they ever thought they could achieve, and that's the secret to life, really, for me, because. Like I said, we've created art forms, music, DJing, like whatever it is, literature, to make the journey from birth to death as fun and engaging as possible. But it is that journey, and so you have a choice. Either you make the most of what you've got, whatever that is, in your own context, and you can never compare yourself to somebody else. But you should treat your body right, because when you don't, like as I know today, and after 20 years of rugby, if you don't treat your body right, at one point you won't have the opportunity to treat it right, because it breaks. Yes, you can have replacement joints and bits, but once it's buggered, it's buggered. You have a mind that some people's minds works really well, some don't, but you can always be better, learn better, experience more, be content, be fulfilled, wonder about life. People want lots of things, but I think wondering is much more important than wanting. Wondering about kind of, can I be better? Can I do this? Can I experience stuff? And being fulfilled is very important. And because as soon as you reach a goal, you want another one. So you've got to sit in the journey, because what happens for me, and the last book I wrote was called Approach Without Caution. It was kind of a self-help book, and we talked to people on their deathbeds, and not one person was like, I want another Ferrari, I want another car, I want another house, I want more time. But you have to make most of the time you've got, and appreciate the time you've got, and enjoy the simple things. For some people it's walking to and from their door. For some people it's being able to wiggle a toe. For some people it's being able to perform as best you can. For some people it's parenting. Whatever it is, you have to make the most of it, because at some point it all stops. And I'm not sure I believe in an afterlife. I might be completely wrong. You might come back there might be another world. We might live in different times. We might be in the Matrix. I don't know. But you can only judge on what you know. And I'm pretty certain what I know is that every day you have to really embrace life before it stops.
The secret to life is getting back up. I like that. The name of the show. So I guess we'll wrap up this episode and go now.
Let's be honest. Yeah, you're welcome.
But you're right. I'm somebody that says it's the little things in life, it's the small things in life. And whether that's your favorite cup of coffee in the morning. And where my head went to when you spoke about that was, I remember the first moment I could tie my very own shoelace again after my first operation, like the first time I could get there and do it, and how that made me feel. And it's one of the best feelings to this day I still remember. And it's finding those little things in your journey towards let's say the bigger things. But you're right, because sometimes a lot of people get that big thing and they're like, okay, what's next? What's next? And you have to enjoy all those little things along the way. And the victim mentality as well is a huge thing, because you're right. I think you get two choices when something happens. You become a victim and you fall, and you can go a very different direction, or you go, okay, this has happened. How do I get back up from it?
Yeah, and I think, look, terrible things happen to good people all the time. But I think being defined by what's happened, look, it's easy. Again, I only ever speak from point of my context. I can't speak about, someone that's been abused or been injured or had their life taken away from them. You can only talk about what you know. And, I come from a relatively privileged background, but we all have our challenges in our own context. And I think... you meet people all the time who now, particularly with things around mental health, lead with their diagnosis as a way of being defined by it, and that's fine, but you can only mention it if you're doing something about it. You can't wear a mental health issue as a badge of get out of jail free card or whatever. You can't, because also what you learn is the world moves on. You had your accident, the world moves on, and you care. People who love you care. No one else cares. Without being rude about it. Everyone's got their own thing. And I think once you understand that, it's like when you lose someone close to you. Grief's something that never goes away. It's something you have to manage, and you sort of want the world to stand still and the world to care as much as you care. But you see it all the time on the news now with things that happen in the Middle East. You see things in Ukraine, you see things, disasters and bits, but the world keeps turning. It keeps turning, and you have a choice. You have to put one foot in front of the other, but you have to then always, I think, come to terms with, one of my therapists told me, it was kind of, I don't know the word is realization, but sorry, acceptance. You know, you if your injury, you know, you've come out the other side of it and been able to do it, but there's a chance that you might not have been able to do that. There's no point you hankering after what you could have had and what you could want. If you have to accept where you're at and then be the best at where you're at. And things like, for me as a sportsman, you know, playing 20 years professional sport, I had to retire through injury. My body's pretty wrecked. There's lots of things that I like to do. There's lots of things I used to be able to do. There's lots of things that defined me as a person that I could do, but I can't do. So I can sit around going, I wish I could run anymore, but I can't. I wish I could do these things. I can't. But in my own frame of reference, what I can do is still a lot. And so you then have to have that level of acceptance. And I think sometimes with injuries and stuff, it's that hard bit of accepting, you know, where you're at and what you can progress to, you know?
Especially with injuries, you accept where you're at, what's happened, and then what you can do moving forward with what's happened.
Yeah, 100%. And like, you know, I had a mate of mine, guy called Ed Jackson. He dived into a shallow swimming pool, didn't know, broke his neck. Was lucky to survive. His dad was a doctor, saved his life. And then he spent, I think it was 6 to 8 weeks, maybe longer, just trying to wiggle one toe. And he managed to wiggle his toe. And for him, that was the greatest thing. Now, we wiggle our toes all the time. My back's now fucked after yesterday, whereas the day before that, I was taking for granted that I could play paddle, I could walk to my car, I could do stuff. My back was still sore. You know, I wasn't able to do, you know, box jumps or pole vaulting or backflips, but I was happy with what I had. I'm now happy that I could walk to get to the podcast. And you just have to keep readjusting your frame of reference and be grateful for what you have, because there are plenty of people that can't walk at all, and there's plenty of people who can't do anything. And so I always live very presently, which I think makes a very big difference. I think, you know, again, if you look forward to something and go, I wanted to do this, I used to do this, I could do this. You know, you said you were a rock climbing, you know, like if you have these injuries, you're not climbing anything. You're lucky to climb the stairs. So then you have to go, well, actually, if I climb the stairs, that is the same level of achievement to be able to climb a rock face. You just had to reframe your thing and your frame of reference. And so, yeah, it's hard, but it's also very empowering, because if you just focus on yourself and in the present and go, do you know what, I'm going to try to do something slightly better today than I did yesterday. You know, and that you see it all the time with people who have injuries, but they just want independence. You know, can I drive? Can I go to the shops? Can I walk? Can I stand up? Can I go to the bathroom without aid? You know, we all take that for granted. So yeah, I'm 100% on board with it all.
We do take that for granted, because I remember very, very well when I couldn't even get glass water on my own.
Yeah.
And you said about even climbing the stairs. I used to bum shuffle down them.
Yeah.
Because I was too scared to go down on crutches. That's what I taught myself to do, and I remember looking back and actually quite enjoyed that by the end.
Yeah. I had my ankle fused long ago, and but then do you know what? I just, in my mind, it was like, how good can I get on crutches up the stairs? That's what it was. You know, it's like, can I do it without pissing sweat and falling down the stairs? Can I try to find a way of doing it? Like you found a bum shuffle. I tried to do it, you know, with injuries coming back in for sport. You know, people put timelines on everything, but your body heals and your body heals. So, you know, you have knee surgery. They go, oh, that's 6 months, 12 months. It is as long as it takes. And so you don't then look at the 12 months because it's very daunting. You go back to day one and go, right, what is it I can do in my control to aid this recovery? What bits can I do? And then, you know, before you know it, 2 weeks has gone by and you're just worrying about that. And then maybe it's in 9 months, maybe it's 12 months, maybe it takes you 2 years. You never know. And I think we trick ourselves into it. And it's nice to have goals. Of course, you always need goals as to where you go, but you shouldn't be hamstrung by those goals and shouldn't be disappointed if you can't make them, because you're always going at your own pace. And that's a hard lesson to learn.
And you're right, and things can change, because I remember as well, you're making me remember a lot of different things about my recovery, which I guess I haven't for a while. The first time I was on crutches, and how hard crutches really are to use. They are really hard. Yeah. And thinking, I'm never going to be able to do this. And by however many months later, not saying this was correct, but I was swinging on them. I became a great professional on them.
Professional crutcher, yeah. But you have that, you know, with those things. You know, it's and sometimes it happens quickly with recovery. But you know, getting in and out of a bath, getting into a shower, someone not having to shower you, then you're standing on your own, then you're able to walk, then you're hopping, then you're on no crutches, then you're weight bearing again, then you're walking. you know, these are all little wins. But I think what often can be your undoing is if you go, you know, as long as you can say it's possible. That's one of the things that I think is really important about life is if you have a goal, you've got to say it's possible. It's like when you had your accident, is it possible for you to walk in? Yes. Well, I mean, the surgeon might not have said no, but there was a possibility you could have done. You know, if you lost your legs and you got, or something happened, you were unable to walk. There's no point saying I'm going to walk again, because if you can't, you can't. You have to set your goals and say it's possible. Like lots of things in my life, I go, you know, if I went, can I win the Tour de France? That's impossible. Doesn't matter if I was geared off my tits or did whatever, I couldn't win the Tour de France. So it's impossible. The goals that I have, is it possible for me to become a world-class DJ and tour around the world and DJ? Yes, it is. How I do it, fuck knows. What I do know is that what's in my control today is to do X, Y, and Z. Tomorrow, the same. And I'll get closer and closer, and I'll find the roadmap, because you can't always see the how. You've got the why because you're determination, and you've got the what. And as long as the what's possible, it's the how is the hard part in anything. And that's why you have to be open to feedback and reaching out to other people, and you know, doing all the things like getting therapy, particularly over injuries and stuff, because everyone looks at the physical toll it takes. People don't look at the mental toll, and actually, that's where some people got to do more work than anyone else.
It's 100%. And I think you don't always realize, especially if it is something physical, the mental journey that you may, not 100%, but that you may go on.
Yeah.
And sometimes getting through the physical side of things, then the mental side starts to unfold, and you work through that too.
Yeah.
And then before we get on to the beginning of your journey, I just want to ask, is there a goal to be in Ibiza at any point?
Yeah, I've got 2 sets. And I mean, I've been DJing in Ibiza quite a few times. I've got 2 sets this summer. I'm DJing Carl Cox's lineup at Universe on the 2nd of August and then the 27th of September, playing the Bunker, which will be really cool. But again, you know, the way the mind tricks you, you have to be grateful, because if you'd asked me 5 years ago, was I going to play Universe for Carl Cox? No. Do I want more? Yes, I do. Do I have a whole list of goals? But the one thing I learned through professional sport was something called your recipe for success. So your recipe for success is what made you successful if you are successful. So I was a successful sportsman, and my recipe for success was proving people wrong, was working harder than anyone else, was reaching out and doing lots of extra stuff that other people won't do, was reinvesting in myself, was using negativity as a tool to get better, was a lot of drive. But if you don't address your recipe for success, it can eat you alive in another part of your life, because you're never fulfilled, you're never satisfied, you're never happy, you don't celebrate moments, you move on to the next thing. And I was once 16 starting a professional career, and then next minute I was 35, and it went in a blink of an eye. And did I always enjoy the moments of success that I had? No, because I was too busy trying to be better. Now, in my other areas of life, I sit and celebrate moments, however small they are. So like getting to put DJ in the Universe is my Everest at the moment. But is there something taller than Everest? 100%. But while I'm doing it, let's just worry about climbing Everest.
Yeah, and Universe is very cool, I have to say.
Cool, yeah.
I'll see you there then.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want to start then with your journey, and I want you to take us to where you think most resonates with everything that's happened in your life so far.
I mean, so I think injury is always a good one, not necessarily a place to start, but I was lucky through my career not to have many injuries. But I kind of, towards the last part of my career, it was something I had to deal with, and you know, that resilience to keep going, but also to avoid external factors like people telling you, you know, you're getting old, or you're getting injured, or people sort of telling you you're not going to be able to struggle, and then your inability to practice what you practice. You know, like if you're a rugby player and you don't play rugby, that's a bit of an existential crisis. Are you even a rugby player anymore? You know, are you just a professional trainer? So I think that for me that was challenging. I think you know, my career, I never wanted to be a rugby player. You know, it wasn't something I wanted to do. I up until the age of about 14, I was just like any other sort of slightly hyperactive child, just doing everything. Parents sort of at their wits' end to make me concentrate and do loads of other activities. And then I went to a school that played rugby, and suddenly everyone around me was playing rugby and into sport and following teams. And I was just had no self-awareness really, and I sort of wasn't worldly aware. Then I got involved in supporting Wasps, my team. It don't exist anymore. And I started to see a journey, and I then became obsessed with what sport gave you, which was a very linear path of success. You know, in the real world, how do you qualify whether you're successful? Is it money, partner, car, house, how big your business is, how many you employ? It's very difficult to quantify. In sport, it's very tangibly clear. If you work hard and train, you get selected. If you play well, you get selected again. And there are a roadmap of different honours you can get to, which set you apart as successful or unsuccessful. And I became obsessed with that, not necessarily the rugby. I loved rugby, but now I've retired, you know, I watch it, but because I've got a podcast, but I don't feel that affinity with it. It doesn't define me. You know, I like all sports. I enjoy sports for the romance, the trepidation, the jeopardy, but I don't. My life is not defined by whether a team win or lose. Like England lose the football, gives a shit. You know, like it doesn't affect me. Now, would I like them to see to go to the final? Yeah. Would I be really excited about it? Yeah. But I don't let those external factors affect me. So my sporting career, I think, was one that I became obsessed with being the best I could be and squeezing out all the juice out of the talent that I was given. And I just apply the same thing now to everything else I do. And so, you know, I don't watch a lot of sport because it'd be a lot better time spent answering emails, making music, trying to learn to be better, being a dad. That's much more a better use of my time. It's quite ruthless, but unless I live my life, unless it serves me, I just don't do it.
What do you think you would have been then if you weren't a rugby player?
Well, it's a very good question. I actually I did my A-levels. I did history, politics, and English, and I was going to go and read history at Exeter. I have no idea why. I just applied in that bollocks UCAS thing you have to do. I mean, because we did a careers thing once, and I think one of my mates got suggested to be a postman. I think I don't know how you can define someone, judge someone at 17 as to what career they think. I was some absolute nonsense that I was never going to do.
I remember those things. They like gave you like a whole job title and
Yeah,
everything.
it's bollocks, isn't it? Like, you know, I was never going to be an insurance salesman, so what's the point? But I can't remember what they said, but I don't think it was quite what I wanted to hear. But I was obsessed with driving diggers. I would have happily been a digger driver, but my dad said, there's no way that I could be a digger driver the amount of money spent on my education, or wasted, depending on which way you look at it. And then I probably wanted to join the army. I think I wanted to be in the SAS, but I'm not sure I would have had the resilience or the mental faculties to be able to do it. But you never know. So those are kind of my two real passions: digger driving and special forces. The rest of it, again, we put a lot of pressure on kids to know what they want to do. I have no idea what I'd be doing. I mean, again, there's no journey, there's no moment where I go, rugby saved me or anything else. I was never going to be a criminal or kept me off the mean streets. I don't know what I would have done. I might have gone into my dad's family business. And actually, I've always been entrepreneurial off the back of playing rugby, because I remember my dad came in once and I was playing Xbox, I think, because we had a lot of downtime as a player, young player who wasn't necessarily playing all the time. And I remember he just came into the room and was like, you know, you fucking, you know, I'm out there working, you're wasting your time on this Xbox, you know, you can piss your life away or you can get off your ass and do something else with it. And so I took his words on, and we started building a fitness business, started writing books and doing after dinner speaking and corporate speaking and hustling and trying to build businesses and launch products and stuff. And I've not really ever stopped. And I've managed to carve out a career doing all the things I love. But the problem with doing all the things you love is, you know, now going into the world of from what you were doing before into presenting, it's feast or famine. It's only relevant if you're good, if you're popular, if you fit the bill. I'm quite white, male, pale and stale, and I'm not sure I necessarily fit into the current demographic of who you would class as popular. And so that's tricky. But then I also have the belief that if someone's not going to do it, just do it yourself and make yourself unavoidable. And that's why I wrote my first autobiography, and that became Sunday Times bestseller. And making music, you know, I wanted to be a DJ. They said that you can't be a DJ because you played sport, and I was going to take you seriously. And then they said to me, well, you know, if you want to be serious, make music. And on Friday was my 35th record I had out on different labels. You know, guys like Skepta, Fisher, Carl Cox, Nick Fanciulli all playing my music. Again, that was it. You know, someone said, "Oh, you can't do stand-up comedy." I did my first tour last year. I'm doing another tour at the end of the year. I believe life is for living, and if it's not going to happen for you, make it happen. Because also, no one deserves anything, and that's the other reality you have to understand. There's it doesn't matter if you have that sort of Truman Show complex that you think you're this special person and life revolves around you. They don't, and you know, good things happen to bad people, bad things happen to good people. If you want something, you have to hustle like fuck, and then keep going and going and get back up again and go again, and don't take no for an answer. And also don't worry about what people think. It's easier said than done, because we're all programmed to worry about what people think, because of kind of that tribe mentality where we all come from. You know, because if you were back in the day, you know, if you were not a good, of a valued member of a tribe or group or whatever it was, you'd be pretty much ostracized. So we are naturally conformists, but no one got anywhere by listening to what other people say or judging people. And I think social media has made that 10 times worse, because you now live your life on the definition of what other people say, who you wouldn't piss on if they're on fire, if you're honest. Like you know, if I would never have social media if I wasn't trying to sell myself, because what's the point? You know, I wouldn't invite people into my life to comment. Now, if Carl Cox said I was a shit DJ, I'd have a conversation. Mark Knight says I wasn't very good, who owns Torn Records, I'd listen. If Joe Blogs 35 at things says I couldn't mix a cup of tea, you're like, who cares? And also, they're commenting on you, you're not commenting on them. Like I've never once thought in my life to reach out to someone. Like, say for example, I watched you present and I didn't like what I saw. Not that it would ever happen, but if I did, I would never take it upon myself to write to you to tell you that I thought you were shit, because it's just not how I work. I'm so worried about what I'm doing and how much I've got to work on, how flawed I am, that's the most important thing. If you've got time to point outwards at other people, you've already lost the battle. The same thing with relationships when they break down. If our relationship break down, I just get you do this and you're that and this is it. You've lost it, because I got no control over you. There's no point me telling you what you're going to do, because people don't really change. They learn to not do different behaviours. So that's kind of where I go with it all, you know.
I say the same with my social media, because I actually deactivated my old Instagram a few weeks after my accident, gone. And I didn't have Instagram for 6 months. And it was lovely. I didn't know anything about anyone. I loved it. People told me in person. And then when I started the podcast and started to do all of this, people were like, you're probably going to have to come back on Instagram. And I was like, oh, really?
Well, yeah, because particularly what you want to do. You know, we met at that Epsom Derby or whatever it was. And, you know, if you're going to present, you have to showcase it, because you have to put yourself in the shop window, because the one beauty about social media is it's the only PR that you can control.
Yeah.
And you can control the narrative, and you can invent a whole persona, as many people do. You know, I could portray myself as something completely different. I could stand next to someone else's Ferrari and take a photo. I could take photos of nice holidays, of other people's holidays, and say it's mine, and you've got no idea. But we never post a bad day. Or if you do post a bad day, you're one of those stupid people that has an argument, stops themselves halfway through an argument to film themselves crying and screaming. You're like, that is even less genuine than not, because I've never once thought having a row going, fuck, I better put this on the internet. I better film this reaction. Or I better scream to... And again, it's interesting about things like social media as well, without going on a rant, it's a bit like when you're not on social media and people gossip to you. Putting stuff out on social media, it's almost about confirmation bias. It's you want people to pat you on the back and almost say that they join in your opinion. So like if I had a breakup and I like slagged my ex off on online, I don't know what service I'm doing. I'm not helping anyone. It's like when people who come out and have these like big open confessions. Like, look, if I was running the country and I was caught in flagrante, or I was caught doing something bad, there's probably a right to explain myself. My personal life and explain it to other people, I owe nobody but the people involved in that personal life. If I do put it out there and I do a woe is me or a sob story, all you're doing is looking for people to tell you that, yeah, you're right and you are the victim, and massage your ego and massage. It's not relevant. So I just don't do that. Like, you're never going to catch me go on Facebook, I'm never going to love again, and someone's going to go, you know, go DM me for more. It's like, just go away. All you want to do is sympathy. But we do it all the time. It's like sports people do it. And I've got this real bugbear where they lose a game, and sports players go online and go, oh, tough day, onwards and upwards. And all they want is people to pat them and they go, but you did well. Because no one who plays really shit puts that out there. It's always people who played well on a losing team, just want the reaffirmation that, but you weren't involved. You were great today. You're okay. We're all onwards and upwards. Like, you don't owe the fans anything. You don't owe anyone anything. And it's just a contrivance to pretend that you're like, do you know what I mean? I think if you seal that for what it is, then it becomes a game to use it. Like, you know, I'm not going to wash my dirty laundry in public. I'm not going to take other people's opinions on that. I don't care. Like my producer from our Good Bad Rugby show, get so hung up on people's comments. Oh, I said, listen, it's 5 comments. I could not give shit. And I go, would I have changed anything I do? No. Do I get better? Like if someone said to me, I value their opinion, you're doing this. People in the public, who cares? You need them, and you wouldn't have a platform if you don't have fans, and I appreciate them, but I don't appreciate people offering feedback that's unwarranted, because unless you're a qualified podcast expert, then just shut up and watch it, or don't watch it. It doesn't matter.
And then on the point you said before, actually, when sometimes a lot of people in life might say no, or you can't do something, or don't do something. I think what it can sometimes do is give you a fuel.
Yes.
It does with me.
Yeah.
It gives me a fuel to be like, okay, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to prove you wrong, or I'm going to show myself that I can do it. I think there's that as well. It's like, okay, someone told me I can't, so I now need to show myself I can.
Yes. Yeah, but I think negativity is one of the most powerful tools, and it's not fashionable, and it's not about like The Secret by whatever her name was, like asking the universe for everything, and it's not about positivity and happy clappy and just have a happy outward look on life. I would say most people achieve more things by trying to prove people wrong and using other people's negativity than anything else. There's a great book I read actually called "You're Not That Great," and it's basically the point of going, someone tells you not to do it, you're more likely to do it. Someone goes, you're brilliant. We're not reprogrammed like that. It's nice to have positivity, but negativity is a really powerful tool that's very unfashionable, but it's something I use all the time. And I think when you are trying to achieve different things, you have to then go and revisit different buckets of things in your life. And negativity is a bucket that you draw on. Competition is a bucket you draw on. Positivity is a bucket you draw on. Jealousy is a bucket you draw on. Inspiration is a bucket you draw on. Self-reliance is a bucket you but sometimes each one of those buckets runs right. So then what do you got to do? Sometimes you need like the good people around. I call it relationship capital. Like if you want to achieve something, lots of people in your life won't be on that journey. Like you see it all the time with people with body transformation, or you see it actually more abundantly when you say you're not drinking. Because when you say not drinking, it shines a light on everybody else, and everyone makes such a fuss out of it. Like if I told you I'm not drinking, the amount of comments would be like, "Why are you not drinking? Well, what's this? Oh, I can't believe you're a bit of a pussy." If I told you I'm going to go and smoke crack, people would be like, "Well, don't do that." I'm like, but it's the same. Well, not in terms of the impact it had on you, but it's the same principle. Yeah. It's I'm doing my own thing. I'm going to go on a diet. Oh, well, don't do that. It's so boring. Do you not eat cake? Do you not eat chocolate?
Like, I'm not going to have dessert. What? Why are you not having dessert?
That's what I mean. It's like mind your own business, but also you have to then filter people out of your life. Yeah. So when you do change your life, people won't get on board with it. And it's like if you get yourself in real good shape and achieve lots, I think a lot of people's negativity, for example, online is because it shines a light on their own inadequacies and their inability to change. You see it. It's not sexist, but sometimes with women there's an inherent jealousy around certain aspects. Men get jealous, but sometimes you see it with things with relationships and partners and bitchiness and bits and pieces. I talk to parents of girls and stuff, and it's like when boys get into each other, it can be a physical bullying, it can be, but girls in particular now with social media, girls take shit really serious and carries on, and they get into it, and bullying's rife because of smartphones. It lives on, and when a group of girls gang up on you, it's not a great place to be. And I think that jealousy or that stuff is very insidious, and actually, it's because it makes people feel uncomfortable. And also, if you're having a real happy relationship and you're in a shit relationship, you go, well, it's just because so and so's whatever the context might be. And so I think it's like a constant journey. And I'm 41 now. It's taken me a long time to realize. And do I still fall foul of it? Yeah. When you read stuff online about yourself, does it hurt you? Yeah, you could have 1,000 positive comments and 1 negative comment, and you take it on board. That's how we're programmed. But if you've worked on all of the things we've discussed, and the thing about being successful and getting up is you have to revisit it every day. You can't just read a self-help book, feel good for 2 hours, and never look at it again. And that's what people do. People buy self-help books, they read it, they go, I'm so motivated, because in all the buckets I talked about, motivation is one of them, but it's the most fleeting one. It's the one that empties the fastest, because it comes and goes, and it's the people that are the world is full of motivated people. Like they always say on the way to Everest, world's full of motivated people who sadly lost their lives trying to do it. It's about being resilient is what is the success to life, because motivation comes and goes, but the motivated person wakes up in the morning and trains. The unmotivated person, when it's pissing with rain, doesn't get out of bed. But the unmotivated person who has the negativity, the jealousy, the desire for success, the motivation, the inspiration, the innate desire, and or the track record of doing the work when no one else wants to do it, they're the ones that are successful. And it takes time to build that. And some people quit at the first hurdle. That's why you see people who try to change their bodies. If they never stick to one plan for long enough, they never get the results, so they never move on. If they stuck to one self-help book that you found that resonated and revisited it every day until you didn't want to and it was boring, you know, you have to play tricks with your mind. You have to make deals with yourself. Like, you know, that I would love to sit eating chocolate, watching action movies all day long, but you have to earn the right to do that, and you have to earn the right to enjoy those things. And I think that there is this belief that you always have to struggle to be successful. No, you can enjoy success and find enjoyment, but you will have to struggle at times, and that's what separates people from being successful, is the ability to struggle a bit, to deal with it, but then to reward themselves, but also have the enjoyment and be positive through their success and sit there and enjoy it. And it's like, you know, you tell me about your journey. I didn't know it before we met, but you seem very happy and stuff. I imagine it's still hard and times and changing and scary, but also it's probably amazing because you could still be in that office job, you know, be a climb instructor. You now get opportunities to do things you would never have thought you would have done. That's the payoff. But some days it's probably a ball ache and it's hard and annoying and tiring, and you go, do you know what? It's probably a lot easier if someone else paid me to work for them, but because you got that safety net. But you wouldn't be as fun as you wouldn't have as much fun as you have, you know.
No. And sometimes my knees hurt, and I get up and I'm like, oh, really? I'm only 30. How am I here already? Yeah,
I'm 41, and I'm literally can't do my shoelaces up. I often don't wear socks. I'm not wearing socks today because I can't bend down to put my socks on. But you may do, like, you know, luckily my feet never smell, so we're all right. But it's, you know.
And I didn't know you didn't have socks on, so.
Well, I know, now you know. But things, honestly, like I just get flip-flops because I can't. The idea of trying to bend over in the morning and put my socks on is hell. And I stuffed it, you know, at 41, I have to stand there and hook my leg in my pants and pull them up and do that kind of stuff. But that's part and parcel. Do I regret any of it? No. But I live with what I have to do, but I'll make do.
Yeah, no, you do. You make do with what you've got. And when we were talking before about when people tell you can't do something or you shouldn't do something, use that fuel, because a lot of the times you're right. When people say something like that, sometimes it comes from a place of that person where they actually wish they could do it.
Yeah, of course.
Not all the time. Can't speak about everyone, but they wish they could do it. So they're putting almost their insecurity or their jealousy onto you, so you then don't go off and achieve that thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we can get quite stuck and confused, because we're like, oh, you know what, maybe we shouldn't do it. But then, you know what, if we don't listen and we try, two things are probably going to happen. It's either going to work and it's going to be the most amazing thing ever, or it's not going to work, but you've learned and you find the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's that, I don't know if it's Hemingway or someone, that quote about, you know, a critic is someone who watches the battle from a far off vantage point and comes down and shoots the survivors. You know, you can't fail if you never fire a shot. And I always actually quite enjoy it with public speaking and stuff, is, you know, or people criticizing footballers or whatever it is. It's very easy to criticize anybody. But how many people do you think who criticize you could put them in the spot and they could do it and do it better? Very rare. Or would they do it? Like when I always think with public speaking, you know, it's a very hard thing to do. And I've become obsessed with watching people's body language because I spent so much time in therapy on myself, and I'm very self-aware. I see that I'm a bit of an acquired taste, and I see that I'm not for everybody, and I'm a bit bombastic, and I'm a bit outspoken, not outspoken in a Katie Hopkins kind of contrived way where you're trying to be contrary, but, you know, I don't mind making a joke to 10 people and one person offended. I keep shit. I don't want to be vanilla, but if I make 9 people laugh, I'm very happy with it. And so with that kind of personality and doing different things, you can have that effect on people. So I have spent a lot of time doing that, and I always watch people when they stand up in front of people. And, you know, people pull their shirt down, they tug, they're nervous, they can't look in the eye, they can't do various things. And then other people will criticize, and I'm like, you could never do that, even well. And so I always just think I would rather fire all the shots, miss, fail, than never fire a shot. And also my life never to be, I never want to be the critic. I want to be the doer. You know, like people who criticize are often ones who failed at doing what they're doing, and now they talk about doing what other people do. It is what it is. I mean, look, some people have been very successful and then become critics, and then you might be like, you know, that's informal, like Strictly Come Dancing, where it was Bruno Tonioli and all those guys, you know, they were great dancers. They probably know what they're talking about. You've got to take it on board. Someone in the crowd who's never done it to ballroom dancing to that level, you know, what are you talking about? And if you said, okay, that's why I always like those troll hunter programs, all that kind of stuff, where they go and meet people. And they go, and they all say, I don't know why I said it. I don't know why I do it. And it's maybe they're unhappy, but I go, okay, you go and take a penalty for England in a world, you know, in a semi-final. See how much you shit your pants and how you do it, and also how you deal with all the criticism everyone else would. Because most people, if they had to put up with what people in the public eye do, or people who are subject to, you know, widespread criticism, I think most people would fold like a deck of cards and do something really stupid and end up throwing themselves off a bridge, because it's not easy, you know. And it actually, resilience is something you have to really deal with. And it doesn't matter what image I portray today. There's loads of times where I've sat down, not ever thought about taking my own life, but sat down and going, you know, why did I do this? This is shit. Oh God, it'd be so much easier if I didn't. And what's the point? But then, because I've put so much work on myself, that lasts 5 seconds and you get back on with it. If I hadn't done the work, could last an hour, a day, 2 days, 3 days, 2 weeks, a month. It's like people with depression. You're never not going to have depression. You have to keep working on it to build up tools to protect yourself. People who don't do that say they've got depression and then they just keep having relapses. No, because mental health is not about fixing yourself because you're never fixed. It's about how quickly you get back on track afterwards. And that's the same thing with injury. It's like you can't make yourself injury proof, but you can do lots of things that will put you in a place to maybe not get injured, or you can rehab yourself after injury to a point where you're building up as much resilience as you can do. I had teammates who, you know, did an ACL, first came back, did the other ACL. Came back, did a shoulder, did the other shoulder. And it's like, you know, I know you said when we were talking off camera, kind of, you know, you believe your stuff happened for a reason. You know, I'm actually getting really into kind of not manifesting, but I've always done visualization and bits. And I truly believe you have to not fake it till you make it, but you have to believe in it. Now, I don't know whether there is a higher journey for us or whatever happens, but you can always say stuff happened for a reason, because if you react to it in the right way, then it did happen for a reason. If, you know, I'm not sure what happened in my life for a reason, but I do think you can put yourself in the right headspace, right mindset. And even things like the way you talk about yourself leads to how you are, you know. And if people are in tune to it, if you always criticize yourself, you know, talk about yourself in a negative way, that seeps into everything, because your mind doesn't know whether it's true or not. If I said to you, I think you look beautiful, you go, oh no, I'm not, I'm overweight, I'm this, I'm that, I'm da 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 da. You say it to everyone. It pervades your self-conscious. You know, if you go, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been training hard. I feel really good about this. I'm trying to work hard. You know, you don't have to tell everyone you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, but you also shouldn't talk negatively about yourself. And you also shouldn't say, well, I'm not sure and I'm just trying my best. It's like, no, I've got a plan. I'm doing it. I'm doing me. Run my own speed. I'm going to be successful. I am successful. And feel like you're successful, because I think that's the secret to life.
The brain can't, like, I'm not a scientist, so I'm
No.
not saying this, I'm not a doctor, but the brain can't actually always distinguish between what you're saying out loud and what you're thinking about yourself. So if you continuously tell yourself negative things, your entire body will feel that.
Of course.
And then it's the frequency that you put out, because I do believe in things like this. It's the frequency you put out. It's like a radio station.
Yeah.
You look for the one you want to listen to and you tune into that.
Yeah.
If you're constantly putting out negative frequencies and I can't this, I can't do that, I'm never going to this, I'm never going to that, that's what you're putting out.
And also, if you're desperate as well, you know, because I've read a bit of stuff recently about kind of the frequency stuff, and you know, that desperation. I'm desperate to have things, because within desperation becomes fear. It's you have to feel like it's already happened. You have to believe it's happened. You have to own it's happened. But again, that takes work, because you know, and I know it works because I used to have lots of negative thoughts about my performance or self-doubt, and I lacked lots of confidence, which again, people don't always marry up with me, because I obviously like the sound of my own voice and the way I kind of conduct myself. But I was really kind of haunted by lack of confidence, and I used to have lots of negative thoughts and fearful about making mistakes. And for a part of my career, I played very much inside myself, because I didn't want to make mistakes. I couldn't deal with the criticism. I didn't want to do it. I had self-doubt. But I worked very closely with a therapist to stop, and every time I had negative thoughts, stop, visualize myself doing it right, changing it. And if you've got a reference point where you've actually done it well, so if I went, I don't know what, something weird. I don't know if I score a penalty for England, it'd be very difficult for me to do because I've never done it. Now I could watch footage of it and I could make my brain believe it. But if you've actually done it, so if I've gone and done a good afternoon speech, I've got to record it and I can think about how I felt and what it felt like standing there and what the crowd looked like and how they laughed and how it made me feel and how the words felt coming out of my mouth. And, you know, when I visualize, I can really own it. You know, if I think about a DJ set, same, how I was in that flow state, you know, if I made a tackle, if I worried about missing a tackle, I made loads of amazing tackles. What that felt like, what the smell of the grass was like, what it felt like me hitting my shoulder on his legs and how it felt grabbing the person and all that kind of stuff. You then start owning that visualization, and that's really powerful. And I think, you know, if you want that frequency, you have to believe it's real. But then that's why sometimes things like mood boards and all this other kind of stuff are important, because you might not have what you want, but you have to feel like you've owned what you want, and what you want is coming to you because you want it. You know, and you can say and think all this affirmation stuff. You know, like money doesn't work for me. I don't work for money. Money works for me. Money will flow to me. All this kind of stuff. It's to reinforce, to make your brain believe it, to feel it, to be acceptable to it, but also to put yourself out there to receive it. You know, and I started this new year going back to a lot of visualization or manifestation. You know, writing things like I'm going to get 500 grand in the next 3 months. You know, but the weird thing was, actually stuff started to come in, but then but it's when you're least expecting it and aren't looking for it, does it come? But it's people who then think about it and you're driven by fear or anxiousness as opposed to positivity and accepting, you know, and putting yourself in good places, and also going, what do you control that can make that stuff better, you know?
And sometimes it's putting that manifestation out there and then kind of almost like closing the book, let's say, and then getting on with your life and watching the journey unfold and seeing the little steps that take you along your path to that manifestation that you want. And you made a really interesting point, because one of the audiobooks I'm listening to at the moment is called The Pressure Principle, and it actually talking about 2 chapters in maybe, and it actually talks about how if you constantly think about whether it's performing a sport, whether it's getting on stage, if you constantly worry about the things that you're think are going to go wrong. So I'm scared this is going to happen. I'm scared this is going to happen. If you constantly think about those things, you will subconsciously almost veer into that sort of way. Whereas if you actually think about the things that you want to achieve, the things that will hopefully go right, the things you want to do, that's the path that you're looking at.
Yeah, so I had that with game. What was if I drop this high ball? What was if I make the bad pass? I would stop myself wherever I was, close my eyes for 2 seconds and do it, and I'd be like, no, but what if I absolutely smoked the guy and cut him in half? What if I catch that ball and score a try? And you'd record it, and I'd set a timer on my phone, give me 2 minutes. What if I do an after each finish and I bring the absolute house down? What if, you know, and why not think like that? But you can change your thought patterns, and that's what people always forget. You know, what happens if I do this? No, what happens if it goes really well? What happens if I absolutely smash it? I'm going to smash it. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to do it. This is what's going to feel like. This is what I'm going to celebrate. This is what it's going to look like. You don't entertain it, but you have to stop and do it. And it's like anything. You have to go and do it every day, even when you don't want to. And that's the secret, because it's basically repatterning your brain and repatterning your beliefs. And actually then you stop having those thoughts, and it becomes more confident. You just roll into it. You're like, I'm going to fucking smash this, you know?
And it's not easy. It's not easy. You can't wake up one day and do that every day for the rest of your life. And there are going to be some days when you really don't believe it, but you just have to do something.
Yes, but I do think as well, and I have this argument with some people close to me who are often riddled with kind of self-doubt. And again, take a piece of paper. So say you do a podcast, right? And say this is your first, you've done a few podcasts before, and you were worried about, like, someone criticized you, I'm like, you're shit at podcasting, right? You can listen to what other people think, but there will be tentpole moments in your life where a podcast has gone really well. There's undeniable. Where someone in your life that didn't need to tell you told you were great. Some people that you respected told you that you did it great. So that's an undeniable fact. Even in your weakest day, you cannot argue with that fact. You can't trick yourself. You know, it's like when people go, oh, I'm just not attractive. You're like, well, you got hit on 8 times the other day, and you're beautiful, and you've done a model shoot, and you've done this, right? And people come up and talk to you about it all the time. Like, if your mum tells you you're beautiful, you got to take your mum a pinch of salt, because they tell you because she loves you unconditionally, or your dad loves you unconditionally if they're still around, whatever. Those people's opinions don't really count. It's the other moments where you have to write down a piece of paper and go, what is undeniable? Like, you know, if someone said to me, you can't DJ, I'm like, I undeniably am a very good DJ. Like, I've done it, I've proved it, I've
I
said
can
it.
single-handedly say that.
Yeah,
I've seen you
yeah,
live.
thank you. I believe that. Now, are there moments where you take criticism and you're not where you want to do, and you start going doubting? But you go back to that piece of paper and go, what's the undeniable moment? You know, if someone said to me, people say to me now, you weren't a very good rugby player. That's bollocks. I will undeniable, and it's not from my mum, it's not from my dad, it's not from me, proof that I was a good athlete. You know, if I stand up comedy, how did you know about stand up comedy? It's like, are you funny? I undeniably know that I'm funny. I've had moments of funny. Am I always funny? No, but I will not question that. And I think sometimes if you're in a self-doubt loop and you're miserable or you're upset and sad, going down and put your piece of paper and actually being honest with yourself is, your brain can talk you out of most things and also justify some terrible behaviours. We see it in atrocities in the war. We see it with people drinking drugs. Oh, it's fine, it's fine. You see it with obese people. You know, you eat, you do things, or people who've got eating disorders the other way, you justify everything. But there are things in your life that you should be able to put down that are undeniable. You know, and like even things like parenting, which is intangible. It's like, I know I'm a good dad. You know, do I get it right all the time? No. But I'm never going to sit woe is me and go, I'm not right, because it's just not true. And even if I was in my darkest day, I could go back to a piece of paper and go, these things are undeniable. And it's like, you know, someone, and also even if you try to talk yourself out of it, like, well, that person just chatted me up because they were a friend of a friend, or
people do that.
Of course you do, but you then have to qualify who's saying it. You know, like if I don't know, there'll always be evidence for the most part if you've done it. Now, if you're starting out, it's harder because you don't know. But if you've been doing anything for a while or had to go at it for a while, there is always evidence that is intangible that you are good at what you want to do. And that's where you go back to. And if you hit rock bottom, that's where you go back to. And that's how you have to keep revisiting it and truly believe in it, because otherwise you're just floating in the ether, no grounding, no crampons to hold on to, no bits to and you're just constantly bashed by emotion, self-doubt, other people's opinions. Whereas if you can cement it and go, that is drilled into the wall, I've got my rope on it, it ain't going to come out, whatever I do, that's a fact. And it's a really important lesson. But lots of people, again, will listen to all of this and never do it. And then the next day you call them up and they're talking about the same problems, the same doubt. And you're like, you haven't done anything about it. And so after a while, you know, I've got people in my life that I now don't bother trying to help or listen or practical, because they are never going to change. And it's a sad reality, but some people have achieved all they're ever going to achieve. And it's hard, but that's the nature of life. If you don't want to put the work in and even just sit down with a simple piece of paper and go, why am I great? What am I good at? What am I bad? Wait, even if you go, what am I bad at? And you go, well, how do I change those bad things? That's a step forward in the right direction. Just flitting from one emotional state to the other with no grounding, no work, no logic, it's a pointless. And I have it with parents. You know, parents never going to change. I love my parents. I love my mum. My dad passed away. My dad was never going to change. I tried, I couldn't. So then at the end of it, I made a choice and go, I'm going to just accept him for how it is, and I'm going to mitigate everything and maneuver around him so he can't have a negative effect on me, even though, you know, I loved him. We had a great relationship. Same thing with my mum. My mum's trying to move house at the moment. I must have told her a million times what to do and what she needs to do. She's not going to listen. She's not going to change. So do I blow up with her, or do I just accept that that's who she is, and then that's it? And you have to sometimes come to terms with that in your life. It's frustrating, but that's it, you know?
Why do you think some people don't change? Even if they say they want to, because there are people that really say they want to change, but then they don't.
I think I see it with my daughter. I think the argument versus nature versus nurture is a really interesting one. That we are certainly often products of our environment, but we are fundamentally programmed in a certain way. Like my daughter, for example, yes, she's a product of it, but she is completely her own person and comes out with stuff and acts in a way and thinks in a way that's nothing to do with me and my ex-wife. So you have your own personality, which is very important. And I think nurture can help you change. But I think often it's much more about the learning of where you're at and your ability to learn, and also your desire to learn and put the work in, and the self-awareness. That's why, you know, addicts, for example, from what I know, you can't shame an addict into changing. You can't force an addict into changing. You can't bully an addict into changing. They always have to find themselves. If you ever watch something, yes, you might need a good, someone to support you, but only you can fix you. And I think with change, people can learn, but I think they've still got those inherent personality traits. People can understand why they are like they are and put effort into change. But I still think if you have it in you, you always got it in you. You can learn to manage it and mitigate it. And like, you know, I argue with my ex about this a lot, is I spend a lot of time managing people's ego. So I come into a room and, you know, I'm 6'3", 120 kgs, tattooed, outspoken, loud, do lots of things, you know. And so I watch people react to me in a certain way. And, you know, you could meet people where you want them to be, or you look at them and go, I'm going to have to be deferential to this person. Because if I can see that they want to alpha me, so I could go head to head, or if I'm trying to do business, trying to get out of it, I will just manage them, and I will manage their ego, and I will, you know, and I see it sometimes with dates. If I go on a date with a girl, they look at me and you could see straight away, they go, I know exactly what you are. You're a fuckboy, you're this, you're that, you're this. And you see it, and you see the body language, they see that expectation. And you got two choices. You can present what you think they are, or you can manage that and go, actually, you know, because it's not right, but people have perceptions, and you have to manage up people. And like, I manage my parents, because you have a choice. I think you can either try to meet someone head on and be very outspoken and keep having the same conversations with them. You know, and it's the same thing with partners. You have the same conversations, yet you get the same reaction. So what do? You either accept that the way they are is the price of entry, I call it, the price of entry to that relationship, and you think you can maybe manage it and they can maybe shave some of the rough edges off their life, or is the price of entry too much for you to take? And I think that's really important. If the price of entry is too much to take, they're never not going to be that person. And so if you keep being challenged by them, you're just having the same reaction. So what do? You maybe manage it and change some of the language around it. Like I'm a person, if I was in a relationship, if you come in and go, you know, you never do this, we don't do that, you haven't done that, I'm going to be like straight on the attack back. If you just came in and said, I'd love to take me out for dinner one day, can you just put me in a restaurant, it'd be amazing. I'd be like, babe, I'd fucking love to. It's just a way to talk to me. Now, it's not hard to learn how people want to talk, how people need to be talked to and managed, but often people don't do it. You know, I had bosses and coaches when I played rugby who wanted to be in charge. They couldn't handle me, so I could have just kept being me, or I could have just managed them and be, oh my God, you're so right, I'm not going to do that, I won't do it. I just went and did it anyway. You can't go and train with other people. You can't see other physios. I'm not, do you know what, you're right. Just go off and do it anyway. I just not be more subtle about it, because it was what was best for me. In a relationship, if I realised that when I did couples therapy in the past, the therapist said that when men are talking to women will often talk from an emotional perspective, right? So I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, right, so does a partner ever say, you never go out for dinner anymore, we never do this? And I go, yeah, all the time. And he goes, what do you do? And I go, well, this is bullshit. Here's a PowerPoint presentation of how many times they're taking you out and what you're talking about. Why are you always moaning? And he went, well, that's where you're going wrong. He said, it's not what they're saying. It's how they're feeling. So they're not feeling seen and heard, and they're not in their female energy. They're in a masculine energy. They feel like they've got to do everything. So you don't fix it, because men are practical. They just want to fix everything. You just listen and talk and hear what they're saying and go, actually, do you know what? Maybe you're right about it. And it was like transformational. And even things like, I now sit with people and they start talking, and my practical brain, because I'm really practical, starts kicking in. And not everyone's the same. I'm not sweeping everyone's same brush, but there are traits of it. And I go, do you want me to listen or do you want me to fix it? Listen. And sometimes I can have a 20-minute conversation. I said nothing. And at the end of it, they're like, that was really good. Thank you. I'm like, how? I didn't do anything. But you're not taught to do that. And it's the same thing with people in life. You know, I think they can learn to change if they want to change. It's very hard to change. And I think the traits are still there in conclusion. But I think often you then have to go, what am I responsible? It's how I manage them. And again, the price of entry is important in relationships and business. Is like, can you accept how this person fundamentally is? And if you can't, then you need to get out. If you can accept that price of entry, because it's probably what attracts you to them in the first place, is you then have to learn how to manage them. And that might be, I'm not going to phrase questions in this part. I'm not going to ask them to do something they can't do. I'm going to manage it and facilitate them. And as I said, my parents are a great example, because, you know, I butted my head my dad loads of times, and I just was like, all I'm going to do is destroy my relationship with him. Or I've only got one dad. You never know when they're going to go, and he's gone now. I value my relationship with him is more important. So I'm going to do everything I can do to make sure that his behavior doesn't impact on my life, but I retain a relationship, but I manage him so I don't have to have those battles. And it's a bit contrived. And as I said, Chloe and I, we debate all the time. She says, you don't have to do it. But I'm like, I do it all the time, because I think if they can't meet me where I am, I'm going to have to meet them where they are, or manage it. And it's amazing how diffusing it is. And by the end of it, the alpha males who are trying to are like, oh, actually, I can't believe it. I didn't think you were anything like that. And the girls go, oh, you know, you're not as I expected. I was like, yeah, because I could see the wall you've put up and the expectation. I need to now, you know, show that. And it's not me pretending to be someone else. It's just, if I tried to justify myself or explain myself or challenge them, they're not ready to hear that they are maybe in the wrong, or they maybe got issues they don't address. Like, my dad was never going to hear that he was wrong. So what's the point? You just have a row. So if people aren't going to accept that and they're not prepared to do the work, you have to do the work. The only problem is long term, if you don't do the work, it takes two people to build a relationship. It takes two people to kill it. And that's the same thing with business in life. You know, you can't keep doing it because it's very exhausting.
Have you ever read the Mel Robbins book, Let Them?
Yes, I have.
So I was going to say, I've read it, and I was listening to a lot of what you were saying, and I was like,
yeah,
a lot of what she speaks about is what you just said.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, it's because I actually read it about 3 months ago, and I'd been talking about this kind of managing thing for kind of a while, and it is let them. But again, it's let them to the point where it doesn't make you somebody you want to be. But you know, like, I was talking to a female friend of mine the other day, and she was saying about a friendship group, and she was like, I didn't get invited there, but you know, I just feel like they don't want me to be there, but I don't really want to like them anyway. I was like, well, what's worried about? What are you worried about? She says, well, it's just I don't want to not be invited. I say, yeah, but that's not reflection on you, it's reflection on them. And if they don't want to, then don't worry about them, because do you really want to be with them anyway? No. And I said, well, you've answered your own question, but it doesn't mean that we don't feel these emotions. Like, I think one of the things that I've been criticised before is like just being like, you know, that opinion is not valid, and you know, I know you feel like that, but your feelings bollocks. You can't do that. You have to let people sit in it, but you can't sit in it for so long. Like, if I lost a game, I have every right to be sad, but at some point you then have to kick back into being sad. So you should feel human emotion. Like that's why I hate trigger warnings and stuff like this. Is because if you've got epilepsy, you have a trigger warning, but trigger warning about like, oh, you might not like this. It's like, good. You're not meant to like everything, and you're meant to feel things. Like, I'm meant to feel heartbreak in my life. I'm meant to feel sadness. I'm meant to feel joy. I'm meant to feel loss. I'm meant to feel sad. I'm meant to feel all the things, and you can't protect yourself against them. And I think this younger generation, often we're now trying to like stop them and protect them at all costs. But you are shaped by every emotion. And there's a great poem from Keats which says, Ode to a Nightingale, it's better to have loved than lost, never to have loved at all. So whenever I get into a relationship, I've been heartbroken, I've been cheated on, not by Chloe, but people in the past, and I've read about things in the newspaper and stuff. But I'm still going to a relationship open-hearted, because if you're going to shit on me, you're going to shit on me anyway. You're going to shit on me whether I spend my whole life trying to catch you shitting on me, or I give you every opportunity to shit on me and just go into it and be and be open-minded. And I think that's part of life. And I think you should feel sad at times, but you also then have to kick in and crack on, you know?
One of my favorite things is visualizing the guest house, and you let in every emotion in your mind. Like, you have a guest house in your mind, and every emotion, whatever it is, happy, sad, negative, positive, don't push them away, because the further you push something like that and you block it, it's going to come back knocking even louder. Let them in, welcome them in, and work with them, understand them, sit with them, feel them, use them, you know. And if you are, like you mentioned on relationships, if you, or anything, if you are so scared of what's going to go wrong, or something that's happened to you in the past that triggers you now, and so you are not vulnerable moving into something, and you have all your walls and all your boundaries up, you're never going to fully be 100% yourself in it. And yeah, you may get heartbroken again. You may lose the job. You may X, Y, Z. You may, but you also may not.
Yeah.
And if you've put too many boundaries up too early, you're never going to actually know the answer.
Yeah. That's why it's so important just to go back into yourself and bring it back full circle. It's like, just get up yourself, do yourself, work on yourself, put that time into self, understand how you can maybe manage people, and hope that people will meet you halfway and then go, maybe I've got work to do. But some people are so narcissistic, they don't think they've got anything to do. And it's, I'm lucky that I had a sports background where I had to physically be given feedback and told that I did things wrong to learn to come to terms with that. Because some people now, I employ staff, and some of you cannot in any way, shape or form say anything. And which is very frustrating, because my sports teams were the last bastion of real honesty, where if you were shit, you were shit. And if you were told you were shit, you had to read about it in the papers, see it on there, see it on social media. And you had a choice: go away and work on it, be better, own it, accept responsibility for it, and work on it. You can't go, oh, you can't tell me that. You can't drop me from the team in case my feelings hurt. It's like, well, you had no choice. So when you go into the real world now, it's very difficult to get across that feedback, and also to make people aware that maybe they're not the special little unicorns they think they are, and that they've got stuff to improve. And it's hard, and it takes. The ego is a massive thing to be told, to be criticised. My dad taught me a really valuable lesson, which is you can lie to everyone else, you can't lie to yourself. So when people criticise me, I don't like it at the start, but I sit in it and I go, is anything they're saying true? And more often than not, I might be like, yeah, I didn't prepare very well for that. I haven't put the work in. I'm not eating well. I'm not training as hard as I should be. I'm not sleeping. I'm drinking. I'm doing whatever it might be as an example. I'm not drinking, but you know what I mean? And that's the bit where you make the growth. And that's the same thing as when you feel, sad or lost, you can't protect yourself. You go, is there a reason for me to be lost? Yeah. Because you're not doing anything you should be doing. You're not looking after yourself. You're not hanging around with the right people. You're not working hard enough. But that's what you need to do, I just think that that's a really valuable lesson. I always should check in myself, because I always check in myself before I go to bed. When you put your phone down and you have to deal with your own thoughts, that's when you know if you're drinking too much or taking drugs or not eating or not training or being unfaithful or, being a bad person or doing whatever. Because you can't hide from your own brain. You can justify all you want, but only you know whether you're lying to everyone else. And I think that for me, that's what always keeps me grounded. And I'm not perfect, and I make mistakes, and I drop the ball, and I justify things all the time to myself. But I know, you always know. And then it's the self-awareness to go, how do I get out of that? And how do I be better? How do I be a better partner, better dad? Did I handle that right? Did I do this podcast right? Did I turn up with the right frame of mind? Like, whatever it might be, you only know, and that's the most important tool.
It's the stuff that keeps you up at night when they say it. It really is the stuff that keeps you awake all night.
Yeah, and I think but I think it keeps you awake because it'll keep you awake if you're pointing fingers at everybody else and blaming everyone else. Like it goes back to what I said earlier. If you spend time and it's everyone else, government's fault, your mum's fault, parents' fault, someone else's fault, whatever. The answer is. If the answer to the question is, could you be doing anything to help you change what you're doing? And the answer is yes, then it's your fault. And it's hard to hear. And again, this is the context of me. I'm not a single mother with 3 children, working 5 jobs with no money or benefit. I can't talk about it. But even within that horrific thing that would be, there's probably 1 or 2% that maybe could change, even if it was just taking a moment for yourself or doing something or asking for help or planning or structuring, whatever. I don't know. But I think it'll always be. For someone like me that doesn't have that worry, there is a wealth of things that I could do to get out of it. But you still have the same fears and worries. And I get them all the time, and I sit there and go, what am I doing in my life? And why have I done that? And who's going to pay that bill? And where's that money coming from? And then I sit down and go, well, have you gone through your finances? Have you planned? Have you got a better agent? Have you worked hard? Have you practiced your DJing? Have you put these business ideas? Have you answered your emails? Have you done? And then I suddenly got 20 things to be getting on with that stops me worrying about what the government doing, or whether there's aliens, or whether it's a deep state, or what, whether they're listening to our conversations. They probably are, but it's nothing. I mean, I always say this: if the world's run by the Illuminati, and there are aliens, what would it matter? It doesn't. No one's inviting me to any of it. It doesn't affect anything. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. The deep state, they're listening to you. The government control you. You're like, honestly, the world could be run by flamingos. It wouldn't make a fuck all bit of difference to me.
It might be. You don't
know. It might be. It might be. But unless it directly affects me, but like, yeah, but you're all being part of sheep. I'm like, look, I'll be honest with you, the gas man's not going to take conspiracy theories as a payment. So I'll do that. I'll worry about that part. And if it is turned out to be run by aliens and they're reptilians and it's a substate and we're in a matrix, unless I know how to access it or do it or help me, it is not a thought I'm going to give you. It's like with all the vaccines and COVID. I had all the vaccines because I wanted to travel and go anywhere. Would I want to do it? No. Do I believe in vaccines? Yes. Do I want to ran the one they didn't test? No. Is it a government conspiracy? Was it made up? I don't know. But I had to get on and do it, and otherwise I couldn't have done what I did. So I sort of, I don't worry about what I can't control, really. And if there is aliens, then let me know. If there's Illuminati, let me know. I get involved in it and get all the cash.
Do you think just a segue.
Yeah.
Do you think there are actually aliens on this planet, but they are in human form? Like, have you walked past one on the street, but you have absolutely no idea because they're learning about us?
I've dated a few aliens in my time. I'd say, so space hurts my head more than anything else because it's so vast and so big, and there is such a weird chance that we were here and how everything worked. And again, look, it depends where you go arguments because they go, apparently we were never evolved from. So, but I believe in Darwin's theory of evolution, and bits and pieces and stuff, and over millions of years, a time frame that you can't understand, that it's where we got to. But people say we couldn't have come from monkeys, and that Satan planted fossil, and we're not here, and I honestly don't know. The chances of us being here are very, very small. The fact that the space is so large. I remember they took there's a picture, again, you have to fact check this, but someone said there's the darkest part of the sky. They took a square of it and they went to the telescope and found in that one part a billion stars in the universe, and that was the darkest part in comparison to what we see. So the chance of there being life, maybe. I think I upset some religious people years ago because an Australian player, fantastic Australian player, was brilliant. He sort of was a bit of a religious zealot, and he kind of said that alcoholics, homosexuals, and everyone was all destined to go to hell. My brother's gay, and I was like, as a sports person, you can be a closet Nazi if you want. You can't put that out there because you're on a pedestal, because people look to us to justify often how they feel. And if I was homophobic, there's lots of fans I would have that would be gay, and sexuality for me is not relevant. The only thing I've ever worried about in my life, didn't matter religion, didn't matter colour of skin, didn't matter sexuality, is whether you're a good person, hardworking, and you contribute. That's all I care about. That's all that matters to me. I don't care where you come from, whatever religion, it's irrelevant. And sports people were very much like that because that's all that mattered. And so I stood up for them, and I then started to read, I'd done religious studies at school, and I started to read the Bible, I started to read a bit of the Quran to understand what's going on, and then I read some of the opposite, like Richard Dawkins. And it's interesting because everyone comes down to, if you can't explain it, it's whatever, intelligent design. That's the answer. If you can't explain it, most people lead to it must be God. If you can't explain it, it doesn't necessarily mean it could be science, it could be whatever. So I probably would go down to the science point of view, just because I think that if there was a God or aliens, everything else like that, he has a very funny way of dealing with things. Like giving kids cancer. I don't know what lesson that's teaching, and maybe it's because I'm just a mere mortal that doesn't understand the logic behind that grand thing. But I'd say that we're fear of evolution, and I would imagine that there's probably aliens elsewhere. But it's such a human trait to think they'd be interested in us. They would come out of all their way and the technology to do it, and also they released all those documentation of aliens, the biggest bundle of alien stuff, 2 million documents, whatever it was. And there's still not one clear photo of any of it. And anything you can see, it looks like it was filmed through a potato. You're like, I don't care if there are aliens walking down the street, because again, it doesn't impact me at all. If they want to tap me on the shoulder and go, listen, James, let's get involved of whatever we're doing, I'm in.
I really hope an alien out there now taps you on the shoulder soon and does this.
Yeah. But I mean, I always say, what would be your superpower? I'd be invisibility, because I'd go to the Pentagon. I'd go to all these places. I'd fly out there and I'd walk around and I'd just want to know. I'd walk into Area 51 and just want to find out, just to know. I'd see, is it deep state? I'd see what was going on, and find out what was going on. But again, because it doesn't affect me, I really don't give any time about it. And people who get really bothered about all this stuff, life's too busy for living. And that's what they say. You've kept you on a rat race, so you never get to question anything. Like you earn just enough money to retire and then you die. You're constantly taxed or paid bills, so you have to put money on the table, so you never question anything because you're constantly on that rat race. And then, unless you're a Buddhist monk and kind of goes up to sits on a mountain and is found in a peace, doesn't tell anyone because he's not allowed to speak, maybe that's what it is. But listen, if there's aliens, if there's reptiles, if there's deep state, if there's plans for epidemic, if we're going to have alien, I honestly, you're not going to lose any sleep. And do you know what? If I die and there is another life or an afterlife or a thing, it's like, guys, unless you told me, there's not a lot I can do about it while I was here. And maybe also with religion, maybe I've got it completely wrong, because there's like X amount of religions. It was really interesting. Richard Dawkins made a good point. He goes, if Christianity, for example, was the primary religion, how unlucky would it be to be born in Japan? Because you're instantly going to hell because they're not Christians, or born, or how bad is it that Muslim was the best religion because I'm born in this country, so I'm going to hell. It seems a bit perverse. So I just think I need to worry about being a good person, taking values from certain religions, which is respect your neighbour, be good, don't shag his wife, don't do anything. Don't murder anyone, don't steal shit, be a good guy, set a good example. But I truly believe the world would be a better place if people worried more about what they can do. And I believe that you are the standards you walk by. So if you see things you don't like, you've got to stand up for it. But don't give up your life and become bogged down with aliens and monsters and theories and bits and stuff and all this, because it might be true, it might not be true, but you're not going to be able to prove it. So don't worry about it.
Well, there's a lot of things you can't control in life, but the things you can control, just get up and try and control them.
Yeah, and if there are any aliens watching, just tap me on the shoulder, show me, but don't suck my brain out or kill me. Or probe, well, maybe you can probe me, but that's fine.
But you might not know, that might be their way of doing it.
What,
have you ever seen Men in Black? Just zap you.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I'll take it, but just like I'd like to know for 5 minutes. Maybe I have, maybe
you've already known.
No, I know.
See, this is a whole different conversation that I could get into. Vampires and all of it. But
there's vampires. Yeah, you do.
Have you ever watched The Vampire Diaries?
No, but I'm obsessed about, like, I read Dracula. I really like good vampire stuff.
I think it's all out there. I think everything's out there.
Well, you think that they basically leak everything, so none of it's a shock. So drip feed and stuff, like they reckon The Simpsons is always just predicting everything, and that's their way of doing it.
Maybe, but I think it's all out there. I think there's vampires. I think there's everything.
Werewolves?
Yeah, 100% there's werewolves. It's forming for a reason.
See, the thing is, though, the problem is, again, look, if there's a deep state that actually controls the world, maybe they can manage all this, but no one ever's got any footage of anything.
No, I know.
And everyone's carrying a phone now. And,
yeah, you're right. And there's footage of everything usually.
Yeah, and also, but the thing, but again, I mean, the only thing I do think, two things I think. Pharmaceutical companies have never cured anything. So that is interesting. That what it's like they invented that 100-year light bulb, didn't they, in cars that used to work forever, and they realised that no one's ever going to buy them anymore because they lasted so long. So everything breaks, so you have to keep resurfacing it. Illnesses aren't cured because there's no money in a cure. There's money in the medicine for the ailment. So I believe that 100%. I believe they've got cures for things like that. So I do believe that is a way of managing stuff. I think if certain other things like other creatures and bits, like I don't know how realistic that would be, because somebody somewhere would have got it out. I do believe that they've come, for example, that the propulsion units and stuff to be able to fly without energy and other things and renewable energy, they've got all that. 100%. I'd say almost certainly they've got cures for most major diseases. I'd say 100% they've got alternative energy sources, and I think they've got alternative ways of flying and propulsion and stuff, because it's hard to know what's AI and what's not, but lots of people do disappear once they invent something and it gets bought up, because from a fundamental thing, if you think about human nature and how driven we are for money and for power, there's no money in free energy. There's no money in vaccines. So you would keep them to one side. Vampires, I don't know why you'd hide that. I mean, again, because of fear, but they're just, I don't know, like monsters. I don't know. There's just not enough evidence or reason to do it. I think reason to do it. Keeping free energy in bits and pieces, yeah, there is. And also proof of religion. There's a book by Peter James called, I think, Proof, and it's about what would actually happen if you could prove that God existed. Would that be a good thing? Would it be a bad thing? Or would it cause more turmoil? Because the uncertainty whether it actually happens or not is what keeps everything going. Absolute proof is not, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I don't know. If you knew that actually, for example, that God existed, what would you do? Because it would cause absolute chaos. If you did, or would it be a great thing? And then it would make you think, well, why is he doing what he does? Why do they do what they do? It causes more trouble than it answers. But definitely renewable power and no vaccines. I'll give you that one. Vampires, I don't know.
Okay, we'll see about that.
Maybe. No vampires come after me. Or just come after me and go, I'm a vampire, and show me your actual teeth. I mean, an Uber driver once had fangs. I think he said he went to sex parties and he was into like biting blood, but I don't think he was a vampire.
And then drove you home after it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, bit me on the neck. Yeah.
It's almost like, as well, you were talking about proof. It's almost like if you were to be given a book of your entire life, would you read all the way to the end to know everything? I wouldn't. I wouldn't turn the next page after today, after this minute.
No, I wouldn't either. Because I like living presently, and I don't think knowing helps. That's what I meant about even things like knowing there's aliens, knowing there's hyper. Like knowing doesn't change anything. Because I suppose if I read it and I read it I was going to die tomorrow, might change what I was going to do today. But if it tells me I'm going to die in 10 years' time, I need the chapter to unfold. I need to be part of that story, because what will happen is when you're on your deathbed, if you have a deathbed or you're going to die, you realise that it was all about the journey. It wasn't about the goals or the things anyway. And it was about the human relationships, the moments, the sadness, the talking, the laughing, the camaraderie, the last time you hug your mum, hug your dad, pick up your daughter. Like I parent my daughter with the kind of belief that, not in a morbid way, but in the belief that one day she's not going to want to, like, I pick her up and kiss her whenever I can, and I cuddle her and I tell her she's great. And, when she says to me, and it's like bedtime and she's like pissing about, and I'm like, unless it's really late, I go, what's 5 minutes extra? Because one day she's not going to want to do that. One, Daddy, come and push me in the swings. I'm like tired. I go, actually, I will. Because one day she's not going to want to do that. And so I live my life like that. So I wouldn't want to know why. I don't want to know what happens. I want to experience it and see it and find out about it. And, life is great as it is terrible. And some people are going to experience it. But if I read that I was going to have a terrible life, I just spend all my time fretting. And I watch people, again, someone I was talking to the other night, I watch them worry about something that hasn't even happened yet. That's not going to happen for 6 weeks. And they're worrying about something that they think they may or may not feel. I'm like, you can't live your life like that. There's and I had an old partner that would something would be happening, and they would worry about it all the time, ruin every moment up to the event, and then ruin the event. Or the event would be fine, but they've ruined so much time that you then don't want to spend time with them anyway. That's not how I live. So no, I would sack it off unless there's a little ring by that said this is the time we get attacked by a vampire. This is where you get a werewolf.
Exactly, this is where you get picked up from a Uber driver with fangs.
Yeah, but would I let a vampire bite me so I could live it forever? See, the thing is, that's a hard one, because you watch everyone you love die. And the thing is, if I didn't have a daughter, I could probably live with that. But it'd be sad, but make new friends and have a
Buy some new people along the way.
Well, but you could do. But then also, imagine you bit the wrong girl and got permanently stuck with her as a vampire wife.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that one, and then
Oh,
suddenly...
God. And it was an absolute nightmare. And she was giving you ag 200 years later. I'd be like, right, I'd stake her myself. I'd be like, right, bums, you're gone. You know what I mean? I just think, yeah, but you can see it. In every movie, the lesson is always enjoy what you have. Don't enjoy what you don't have. And don't try to live forever, because you just watch everyone come, go, die. But again, maybe if you live very presently, you will celebrate all those relationships and have more, because there's no shortage of people that you can be friends with. But sometimes you have such amazing connections with people that maybe you could never get over losing them. So I don't know. We'll have to see if a vampire's going to bite me. I don't know. But I think also you've got to work out whether I could like turn into a bat. Would I be able to turn into fog? Am I evil? Like what? And also, if a bit,
What powers you come with?
What powers you come with? And if you bite me now, do I always stay like this?
I think a lot of the emotions become heightened as well. Which emotions do you want heightened? Which don't?
Yeah.
Switch them off. Switch them
I love
on.
how you're an absolute vampire fan, aren't you? All the different emotions. Yeah. Are you sure you don't dress up like a vampire in your spare time and go all like lace and bodices and all this kind of stuff?
Oh, you don't know about
lipstick. Yeah.
You actually don't know about my cosplay. But again, that's a very different. So there we go. You got there. I didn't even have to say
what
it.
This is all about.
Yeah,
Isn't
I go
it?
to Comic-Con all the time when I dress up.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're a massive nerd as well?
Yeah, yeah, I'm a huge nerd.
Well, you're a fit nerd. That's fine. I've heard they exist. But, you know, I think I'm a bit of a nerd for certain. Like I'm one celebrity mastermind. Specialist subject was Harry Potter. So you know, like I don't know, it's Comic-Con maybe. Not sure. Is it comic? Not really.
Yeah, no, there's lots of Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah, so I love Marvel.
Yeah, same.
I like Marvel movies, Comic-Con, Star Trek. I watch all of it. Now, do I want to dress like Spock? No.
Find someone else. Chewbacca.
Yeah. Oh, so you're trying to sound like Chewbacca. Yeah, I could do that. But no, I think, yeah, but that's all fun. Like, yeah, I mean, I cosplay stuff. Yeah, I just think I really like it. I've got like I'm obsessed with Sherlock Holmes. I mean, he's not there, but like Sherlock Holmes stuff, Harry Potter stuff, Star Trek. Star Trek I used to like. Marvel movies, at least like DC. I like.
There's some big Marvel movies coming out.
Big Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doomsday's coming out. I'm very I watch them all in order and stuff like that. So I'm a bit of a nerd, but
I go to the evening it comes out. I've got my tickets booked already.
Okay.
For Thor: Love and Thunder, I booked it a month before with my best friend, and we had it in the diary.
Okay. So like I would. So I get very deep dive on stuff. So if I'm going to watch them, I will have to then go and like Google what's the best order to watch them. And I'll do stuff like that. I'm not queuing up early to get the first release thing to do that. I mean, I don't feel that passionate, but I do definitely enjoy them and stuff. But I do like, yeah. But I also wouldn't get, I wouldn't get super giddy if I met some, because I separate it from, I like the fantasy of it, but it doesn't, again, like nothing pervades my life that much, you know what I mean?
Well, we'll get you down to Comic-Con in October. That's the next one.
Yeah,
Get you in full cosplay. You'd be Thor. There you go. How about that one?
Thor? Do you know what? I actually said Chris Hemsworth would play. Someone asked me who would play in your movie. I was like, Chris Hemsworth. And they're like, not really. They said it was more like Triple H, you know, from WWE. Yeah, but I'd like Chris Hemsworth. He's a dreamboat of a man. So unfortunately, I'm nothing like him. But I can play Thor.
There you go.
Maybe what else? Who would I? Darth Vader. I could pull off quite tall.
Yeah. Yeah, Darth Vader's good. So you're going to be the Darth Vader, not the Anakin. You're going to go as Darth Vader.
Yeah, I'd go as Darth Vader. Yeah. Full suit, just like full. Yeah, that's what I definitely do. Yeah.
See, I've done Padme twice.
Have you?
Yeah, 2 different versions of her, from 2 different
Don't
outfits.
put images in my head. I can't. I can't do it as well. Because also, attractive women in cosplay. Also, it's like it's two types of women in Halloween. It's one that dresses up like a giant bat, and there's one that comes in like lingerie and stuff. So like, yeah.
See, and that's the thing for me. Halloween, I'm like, what's the point of Halloween? Because I can do it any other day of the year. That's how I see it. So Halloween comes, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go to Comic-Con anyway on the weekend.
Yeah, with your hair like that, but whatever it is, like Princess Leia and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the wigs, all of it. I have a bit of everything, so I've got it all going on.
Adult dressing up box, fine. I love it.
No, I actually do.
I know you do. I know you do. I literally don't doubt that. I know. I've got an image in my head now.
Anyway, you mentioned before about if you've lost a game, how you get back from that. Because sometimes when I'm watching the footballers playing, and I think they've just had a terrible loss, how do you mentally get back onto? You've got another game in 3 days' time. How do you get yourself psyched and ready for that game?
That is a very good question. So when I started doing therapy when I was 17, the one thing the reason I saw her to start with, but then obviously other things emerged while seeing her, was how do you consistently prepare for 30 games a season? Because you can do anything on emotion. You can play one game on emotion. You can't play 30 games on emotion, because what happens if you lose? What happens if you've had a round with your partner? What happens if you're injured? What happens if you're getting criticised? What happens if you're out of form? What happens if you're tired, ill? It's how did you switch on to, how do you switch states? Because there's a great saying that where focus goes, energy flows. And so if you and I are having a row, and I could make you laugh in the first couple of seconds of it, or something happened to distract us, we would probably stop arguing. But it's very hard to do it once you're on that pathway. So I think when you lose, it depends, because in some sports there's always another one, except a final, the end of the season. Then there's no tomorrow, or you're retiring, or you're injured. So there is the belief that you get another opportunity, which is nice. I think for me, you compartmentalize and you sit in the emotion of the loss. Then you go into what motivates you, and it would be, I would become very matter of fact about it. I'm not particularly emotional person, so I would drill into the first part of my career. It was hard because I'd be like down on myself, and this is shit, and that was shit, and you were shit, and this is all, and you'd wear it a bit. But as I got better at it after therapy, I'd be like, right, sit in that moment. I feel sad about that. Next day, right, what can I do to change that? How can I work on it? And I had to work very hard to understand how I learned. So again, it comes back to that thing about relationships. If you want your partner to speak to you in a certain way, you have to know how you want to be spoken to. You can't just go, I don't like that. It's like, well, what do you like? So for me, with coaches, I was somebody that needed to be told, you're doing this and this well, this badly, but this is how you go fix it, and give me solutions. So I could then go away and work on it. I couldn't deal with, that was crap, you need to do better here. Or what I get in the music industry, when you hand them a track and they go, I'm just not really feeling like the energy. You're like, what ethereal crap is I'm not feeling the energy. What do you mean? Well, you don't like the drums, the percussion, the synth. I need fact, and I need guidance on how to do that, and then I will work until my fingers fall off, or work until I can't run anymore. So I told coaches that's how I wanted to talk, and the good ones were like, right, okay, Monday, come and say play on Saturday, Sunday off. You distract yourself by seeing family, watching a movie, watching music, living normal life. Come in Monday, do a review, relive it. Then you go away and work on it. You give yourself some targets to go and improve. And you would then have to shrug it off by the end of Monday to prepare to start Tuesday to go into another game. And you'd have another opportunity. And if you were in a particularly difficult way, you'd use music. As soon as I would get to a stadium or get on the bus, I'd put on a curated playlist, because the emotive power of music. If you and I were broken up, not that we're cosplay now, but we're together. I'm Darth Vader and you're, I don't know who I'm.
I mean, she's married. They're married.
Right, fine. So we're married, right? Okay, so we're married, right? I'm married to Leia. Was it Leia? No, Leia. Who's
Padme.
it?
Mary is Anakin.
Padme. Yeah, sorry, right.
And then
I'm Anakin. You're Padme.
Evil. Well, I can't ruin it. Sorry.
Yeah. So far, yeah. So
you haven't seen Star Wars.
You're Padme. I'm Anakin, right? And we I don't even know where I was going with this, but if we have a row, as I said, if and we break up, and you're on if you're flying your spaceship off the planet, and you put on Magic FM on the thing, and it's like full of love songs, like Cyndi Lauper and shit, you're going to smash that spaceship into the nearest planet, cry and go, I love you. But equally, if you had came out and you heard some amazing feel good song like Shania Twain, You Go Girls, you'd be like, fuck that guy.
That don't impress me much.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You'd be like, I don't even need him. I don't even need Anakin. Screw that guy. You'd feel really good, because we know the emotive power. It's the same thing if Summer's Day, good music around good people. It's like taking a drug. You can't stop doing it. So I used to create playlists that would have an emotive effect. Now, you have to keep changing that playlist, because it loses power. The start of a summer, a song that you absolutely loved, listen to it 800 times. By the end of it, you're like, turn that rubbish off. And so I would do that. So every time I got on a bus, I'd put the music on, and I'd feel great. And it's the same thing with other areas of life. If I need to change my mood, I'll try to distract myself with a movie, with a track, music because it changes your state. It literally like that. Make you laugh, see someone you like. That's why, you know, if it's raining, you're broken up, you talk to your miserable friends who are always miserable, it's just down, down, down. You just need to break that cycle. So it's the same thing with game. You know, I'd put myself in a position where I listened to the feedback, I checked in with myself, is it what they're saying is true? I was like, yeah, probably didn't practice my tackling that week, probably didn't get that stuff right. And actually, but when it's a skill execution, you need to put a process into that skill. So presenting being an example, did I prepare my notes? Did I have water by the side of me? Did I have the right mic that I wanted? Did I do some breathing exercises? Did I take my pauses? Did I learn the script? So when you mess up and you don't have a good thing, you can then go back and go, what element of that list of things I normally do wasn't there? Okay, I didn't sleep, I didn't work, I didn't revise my notes, I didn't have them on cue cards, I had a handheld mic instead of no. So then next time you go back and fix it. If I didn't miss a tackle, was it because I didn't chase my feet? Was it because I didn't attack the player? Was it because I didn't wrap my arms hard enough? Is it because I had my hands closed instead of open? You can, when you watch it back, you can see it. Because the one beauty I had as a sportsman, you got to review it. Most of your life is not reviewed on video. We would video and review it. So getting over a loss became very matter of fact. Emotion into distraction, into fixing it, into excitement into the next game, into skill development with targeted work-ons to then build back up to another opportunity to play and shrug it off. And that's how you dealt with it. And it was like, you learn not to get too excited and you learn not to get too down. And it's a hard thing to do, but it also means that I take it into my life now. You know, I never get too up, never too down. I'm always pretty much the same person. I mean, this doesn't get any better than this, basically. This is me all the time. I'm just exactly the same, really. Like, you know, sometimes maybe a bit more excitable, never really down. Sometimes I'm a bit like my back's going, I'm like, fuck, hanging on the side of my car, trying to like straighten myself up. There's probably moments where you're a bit like, oh, this is better. But, you know, I pretty much don't ever get too moody. Like you'd have to razz me up quite a bit for me to like be annoyed. But most of the time I keep pretty level, and that's something I have to really work on, because as a sportsman, you can't be like that. You can't be like the Argentinian players like they were in the last 2 against the rugby, and they kick it off and smashing everyone going mad, because you just can't do that, because it's not constructive, it's not good use of your time. But you have to know what works for you. And some people have to like get on the piss after a game and bury that and get the demons, then come in and train doubly hard. Some people need to stay away from others. Some people are very introverted. I just needed to sit in it, distract myself, and then give myself a list of all the things I can do better, and then give me the tools to do it.
We keep going back to it's finding what's good for you. Just because someone else does X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
you don't have to necessarily do it.
Yeah.
Maybe give it a go. Don't feel the peer pressure to have to do it. You have to find what's good for you and what works for you.
And of course, and I think, look, and I hope I haven't come across as dogmatic on the podcast, because there's no miracle reason for it. And, you know, not everyone has anything figured out, you know, because if I had it figured out, I'd be a billionaire living the absolute dream. Or potentially dream. You have to find what works for you, but there are some undeniable tools that transcend across all these people that are successful and have got their shit in order, that are habits that do work. And if you, like I said about that app Headway, I've listened to all these books. They've all got the same traits. Take risks, don't sit back, don't worry about criticism, get up when you get knocked down, keep being prepared, reach out for feedback from other people, reach out for someone that's doing what you want to do better than you, have a plan, set goals, fake it till you make it, and worry about what you can control. There is no other. You can dress it up as whoever you want. There's nothing else. Like, I mean, again, there might be something along as this, but there's nothing that's new. Not some secret thing. There's not like, I mean, maybe you know, but like, you know, sacrificing someone on an altar, or being a vampire, or doing something weird, or doing witchcraft. None of them have said that in the book that makes you successful. So I'm pretty certain those are quite the traits. Now, the difference between being successful and not successful is very hard to keep doing that all the time and keep getting up. And that's the point. And you just got to keep doing it.
It's a resilience and the reinforcement of everything every day. And then transitioning into a DJ, How? Why?
So again, because I'd always use music as a tool. I really understood the emotive power of music. So then I started to go to Ibiza or Las Vegas first. I went to like 13 times to Las Vegas in a short period of time in the off season. And you go there for a week. I'd never seen anything like it. Unbelievably beautiful people, pool parties, Sin City, but you go to a pool party in Tiesto or Avicii or Calvin Harris. I was much more into EDM than I am now, but you go there and I just saw someone at the front of the room controlling everyone's vibe, playing music that made you feel good in amazing surroundings. I'm a bit of a nerd with the technology. I'm a massive show off and performer. I was like, well, I want to do that. And then I started going to Ibiza and again saw the same thing. And so I did a DJ course about 14, 15 years ago now. And I did the course. And if you were good enough at the end of the course, you got to play on the Ministry of Sound balcony because that particular music studio had to deal with the Ministry of Sound on a certain night. And I played a gig and I absolutely loved it. And I was like, this is the perfect replacement for playing. I get to perform. It's about me. I'm a solo performer, not a team performer. I'm playing music that makes me feel good. So other people it makes you feel good. So you're getting an emotional reaction. You're getting the dopamine, the technology of like mixing and controlling and playing and being a bit of a nerd. That I love that. And so I got a DJ agent, this weird bloke. And he was like, why do you want to get into DJ? I said, because I just love it. I just want to perform. Good, because you're not going to make any money. I said, well, fine. I'm not asked about it. I just want to play. And then he put me for my first gig to play at a university, Harper Adams University, for $3,500. And I was like, mate, $3,500 for an hour is a fuckload of money. Like, what's he talking about? And then anyway, so I kept doing it, and then I kept doing other DJ courses and working with different people. And I really wanted to do more. And I was doing it while I was playing, and some games after a game, I'd get in the car and drive to play a uni or a random club, like a Fever somewhere, or like a Walkabout or a Vodka Revs or something like that. And I was like, this is fine, but it's not where I want to be. And I started going to Ibiza, and I became friends with guys like Simon Dunmore, who used to own Defected Records. And he gave me a DJ lesson. I actually ended up having some DJ lessons from mad people, Seb Fontaine, Jaguar Skills, Simon Dunmore, who else? A couple of other really amazing people. And I suddenly realised that I had to learn by doing a course and working with people, because I couldn't just, artists sometimes, it comes naturally to them, they just can't articulate how they do it. I'm very formulaic. Like if I need to learn something, it has to be step by step, and you have to put a process in. So then again, like I said about the tackling, I have to know, why didn't I mix that well? I can't just go, oh, you just need to hear it better. It's like, no, there's got to be a formula. And I think I'm not that minded, so I was never that musical when I was younger. So it's a skill I've had to learn. And I wanted to be taken more seriously, and they were like, well, you need to do a radio show or a podcast. So I did a podcast called Back to the Radio, and we did like 60 episodes, something like that. And that wasn't really getting much traction. It was good. Like loads of people listened. I had I think 100,000 listeners, 200,000 listeners a month on it. But then when you got to make music. So I was like, okay, so I went and did a production course. And then another one. I did 5 production courses, started working with some engineers, got my first track signed in 2021. And I'm still doing it now. And it's very hard because it's the most ethereal thing I do in regards to music. Industry has no structure. No one responds to any emails. Everyone's on a come down. Everyone's disorganized. But the ones that are successful have really good management, business, and it's very difficult. And people come out with abstract things like, I'm just not feeling like, I just think we just, like I said, more energy, but like, what was it like? I just feel like there's probably just a bit more bounce to it. And like, what are you talking about? And so what you need is go, actually, I think the bass line probably needed some different notes in it, or there's probably too much going on in the build-ups, or I don't think you need the snare rolls in there, or actually, I don't think the groove works with that, or the vocal's not strong enough. Then you go away and fix it. And so I got into that, and actually, it's my favourite thing to do. I love it more than anything. It is the hardest thing I do. It's the thing that pays me the least. But I've been doing it for 15 years now, and people still don't know I DJ. People still, when I say I've got 35 records out, it's a massive loads, like In Rotation, Nervous, Tool Room, Insomniac, Mythanix, loads of big labels, D for Dance, Love Juice. People go, I can't believe you can DJ. So there's still a story to be told about that. And I still get some cool gigs, but it's definitely the hardest thing to do because it's the toughest sell, because like any art form, there's snobbery. I think people think I'm a celebrity DJ, just turns out and pre-mixes and plays. It's just not true. I constantly keep revisiting my skills to do better. And it's something that I will just keep plugging away at. But then every now and then, you know, I was at the crowd at Glastonbury, 20,000 people. And I was talking to my friend, I was like, fucking, this is a cool song. Shit, it's my track. And Skepta, Mochak and Carlito were playing at 20,000 people. And I was like, oh my God. I don't know. And like, you see Marco Carola banging out one of my tracks at a music hall, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Now, does it lead to many gigs? No. But is it reaffirmation that you're probably on the right path? Yeah, 100%. So that's why I got into it. It's because it's a perfect replacement for playing without getting my head kicked in. It services all my desires to be a performer, an individual sportsman. I love the skill element of it. I love the fact that the music, you know, I can hear a track and just, and I'm also a massive dancer. I just don't stop. You know, so I work all the time. I'm like, oh, all the time I hear it. And so that's kind of where I am. So, and it's a hobby that I've turned into a career that I won't stop until I'm playing Tomorrowland, Elro, High, Universe, Amnesia. We've got a laundry list of places traveling the world doing it because it's what I want to do.
There's a Schweier on there.
A Schweier would be amazing. Yeah.
My favourite.
Yeah, I will. Ants. I would love to play Ants on a Saturday. Okay. A Schweier. That's my kind of vibe. That kind of more tech house stuff I really enjoy. Toilets of High. I want to play. Yeah. Wild Corner.
Can't really move much in there, but you got to go visit. If you're there, you got to go visit.
Paul Reynolds is one of my favourite. He's a guy that again made me really fall in love with DJ and watching him control a vibe. He was absolutely amazing. And then where else? Amnesia would be wicked. Again, Destino. I mean, just any of those places. America. I'm desperate to play in America. They take their music much more seriously in terms of tech house and stuff. So I'm keen to it. England's not really my market, and it's just because of the snobbery and the way people look at it. So I'm going to try to take over the world, but America first.
Nicely put. But music feeds the soul. It really does. And whatever the track is, you said earlier, if it's something really sad, it really feeds into those emotions.
Yeah. You crashed your spaceship into a planet. We ascertained it.
100%. Exactly. You fly off into a different planet. But then again, if it is that lively, upbeat, whatever track it is, it really can change your emotions so quickly.
I mean, it's you know, where you focus is where it goes, and it's amazing. You see it with you know, with people that just when they're not concentrating, they're just looking at something else. You just nod off, like daydreaming or whatever. You can completely forget yourself and forget what you were thinking. And music is an escape. You know, movies an escape, comedies an escape, art. You know, you can be having a bad day, look at something, and it can just appeal to you and change the way you feel. So yeah, I truly believe where energy goes, so where focus goes, energy flows. And with music, it completely changes your energy, your soul, and also can change your mood. Like rain can, weather can, friends can, sun can, food can, the taste of something, a coffee can, an ice cream. You know, shit food can send you off the side of the side of the reservation. You know what I mean?
Especially if it's something you're really looking forward to that day.
I know.
And then it just doesn't live up to expectations. Oh, how annoying is that?
I know, not for me.
Especially, but you're right. The music, music. I mean, we've said it. It feeds your energy. It feeds your soul, and it really can. It can really help sometimes. Just yes, it's escapism, but it can also really just help you sometimes. Just help you. Yes, be in a different place, but sometimes your body really needs that. It needs that boost or that feeling, that emotion, and it comes via music. I love music, so I know exactly when my moods and what I'm feeling. And sometimes I put if I put one of those, a dance track on or something, how all of a sudden I feel like I'm unstoppable. Doesn't happen all the time, but and that feeling is amazing that a track can help elicit that.
Do you know what I do? So again, I think it comes down to that kind of being present thing. Is I get in the car in the morning and I like go, how are you feeling today? I don't obviously say it out loud, but I'm like, what are you feeling? And if I'm tired and I want to feel cozy, I put on an audio because that's what works. If I wake up some mornings and I feel really energetic. I'm like, right, let's do self-help. Let's learn something. I'm trying to learn Spanish at the moment.
How's that going?
Well, I've only just started. I've only like listened to a couple of hours of it, so it's okay. But I'm not amazing at it.
Give me like a sentence. I can start.
No, I'm not.
Hola, me llamo Talia.
No, I'm not doing it.
¿Cómo estás?
I can't, because this podcast will live forever. Look, when I give me a year and I come back flowing speaking fluent.
Give me a year.
And then trying to learn a bit of that. And then if I feel like I want to progress or I'm energetic, I listen to music. And then but sometimes I go, I don't want dance music. I'll like maybe go Oasis, or sometimes I just remembered Kasheen the other day and I was like, she's banging. I was like, I'm gonna listen to that. So I check in and I pick the mood to suit my music, you know. And then to Christmas time, I always listen to Christmas Carol or like more cozy things. So I'm very like my ex and I always joke. My ex judges everything on the cozy scale. Like I'm too. Like you always have to be a bit cozy and a bit nostalgic. So I always suit what I'm in. And if sometimes I just want to absolutely have it, I might listen to techno. Sometimes it's old school comedy, like The Goon Show, Fawlty Towers, Dad's Army, like real old school stuff. Like, but that's how I'm feeling at the time. Sometimes when I'm making coffee, you know, and you're alive and you're awake, you're like, I'm going to learn about Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius. Let's get into that and listen to a synopsis of that. And you know, but then sometimes you're tired and you're like, fuck, I didn't want to learn Spanish, but I'm like, I can't concentrate. I've just done work. I can't do more work. So then I just switch into I'm listening to book 8 of Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling's murder books, and she's like, I mean, she's incredible. Harry Potter. These books are incredible. I'm obsessed. I've listened to all 8 and it must be, they're all 35 hours, 37 hours. So there's a lot of hours.
Are they?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to 75 hours of Sherlock Holmes, the original, then discovered that Stephen Fry did them. So I listened to another 75 hours of Sherlock Holmes. And that's how long I spent in my car of like listening to audiobooks. But I think it helps with brain health, you know, stuff. And I've got a good recall for stories and bits. So yeah, but then I just, when I try to listen to self-help books, unless I'm in the mood to learn, I can't do it. I'm like, I don't want to learn more shit. Leave me alone. And actually when I sit and relax at home, I only watch movies when I eat. So if I'm normally working, I'll have something on the background trash. I'll just work anyway. If I'm working in my office, I'm listening to music, I'll do that. But I'll eat. As soon as I finish my food, I switch it off and go and do something I should be doing. I very rarely just switch off, ever.
Well, I think that's important. If your brain doesn't want to do something, like really doesn't want to do something, you know, maybe sometimes you do have to force it for some things, don't get me wrong, but sometimes if the brain's like, I do not want to read this book, I do not want to listen to this audio book, this self-help book, I do not want to, just listen to it and don't do it.
Yeah,
because I've tried to force it sometimes and the brain is, I can't read the word on the page.
No, but also sometimes because again, like I said, I'd like to eat chocolate and watch action movies. Sometimes I go like, what's the least thing I need to do, but the most important, just do it. Just go, I'm going to do it and start and do it. And then break the back of it so you don't have to, because then the fear of not doing it, procrastinating, I can't do it. I write a list and I go, right, let's do it. But I also have to, because of how busy my mind is, I have to go, right, I'm just going to do emails, do them. This morning I did all my emails, got it down to like 10 in my inbox from like 120. Then I went all my WhatsApps, got it down to 5 left in my WhatsApps, and I got into my social media, and then I had to leave to come here. So, you know, but I can't do WhatsApps into my email all at the same time, because then 5 minutes later I'll be like making a mute tune. I'm like, how the fuck did I get here? Or I'll sit there and I'll be like watching a movie and I wouldn't have done anything. I see it with my daughter. I give her food. You know, I try to eat with her all the time, but if I can't, I'm tired of the house. She goes, I want to watch something. I said, what do you want to watch? I always wanted to watch Bluey, because that Australian cartoon, that dog, it's quite good. But she likes to watch this crap called Nastier, and it's just nonsense. But it's not like harmful nonsense, it's just nonsense, like little girl nonsense. And she sits there and I come in, she's like this. I'm like, Bodhi, eat your food. She's like, I am, Daddy. 10 minutes I come out, Bodhi, eat your food, Daddy. I'm like, Bodhi, you haven't eaten it. And like, she just sits there because you can't concentrate. And that's the problem, is if you go down a rabbit hole, if you don't do what you're supposed to, and you don't compartmentalize, you don't block things off, you can be a buzz of activity, but achieve absolutely nothing. So that's why I have to really, and like, it's really weird. I never used to floss my teeth. Dentists would always give me shit. So I put flosses in, there's tooth floss in the car. And this is a bit random, but every time I get in the car, I just floss my teeth.
Did you floss them on the way here?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I did, yeah. Yeah. But I flossed on the way here. And when I put my clothes away, I listened to my audiobooks. I killed two birds with one stone. So I always do everything. You know, like what do I do? I'm trying to think what other habits are like. I try to stack different habits so I can try to achieve more than one thing at once. So, you know, like if I want to watch something and I've got my emails to do, and I know I'm not having to write anything, I'll watch the program and do the emails at the same time. So, but again, I can't watch anything that's really requires a lot of concentration.
I was going to say, because I definitely can't do that.
No, I can't because look, I we didn't talk about it on a podcast because it's sort of, when I was 8, I got diagnosed with ADHD and I got put on Ritalin until I was about 16 and I couldn't take it anymore because it was a performance enhancing drug. So I never took the medication after that, but during that process, it taught me to concentrate. But my mind is always active and it's always thinking about lots of things. I talk a lot, but I listen a lot, which is really weird. Like when I'm on this dating show, they were like, "I just listen. He just remembers everything." But I was like, "No, I don't know why. It's just part of my process." But I can do lots of things at once, which confuses other people. But then equally, it has to be the right balance of things, because if I'm trying to concentrate and someone's trying to talk to me, something else is going on, then it irritates the fuck out of me to the point where it's really hard. I can do it with my daughter, but like, you know, if I hear things, it's just weird. It has to be the right mix of like, I'll put on Netflix and it'll be like Rambo. So it's just, so it does, I know, I don't care. I know what's going on, but I'll just sit and work because I don't want to feel like I'm just sitting and working all night. I want to have that balance. But then if I'm making music, I just have to focus on the music. If I'm having to write something, then I can't have it in the background. So I always try to get the right mix of what I'm trying to do when I'm trying to do it. You know what I mean?
And enter into the flow state.
That's the plan.
Do you enjoy the flow state?
Yeah, I do. I think you don't touch upon it all the time, but there are moments when you can get really into the groove. And I think you can sort of almost like prepare yourself for that. You know, there's things like you slept well, you ate well, you're hydrated. You know, there's loads of things that I have to think about to make sure that I do to put myself in a good position, because I wake up every morning 2 kgs down, dehydrated. I'm not sweaty or anything, but I think I'm hot all the time, and I like breathing expiration of you know, so I always have to hydrate. So if I don't do that, you're always a bit tired and got to eat well and so then when I'm prepped and ready, I can really absolutely work. And I'll sometimes work for like hours, forget to eat and just be really in the zone. Sometimes I just can't do anything. I'm like, fuck, I have to go and fight, and then I might have to go and train and do something else to break that cycle, to then come back to be in there. But you don't touch the flow state all the time, but there are moments when it just like happens, you know, and you're just really locked in.
Or you said it before, sometimes you have to just break whatever it is and then sometimes push yourself through it. Push yourself that little bit more and then it may just start to flow. Yeah,
and also I would set like a 10-minute thing, go off break, make a coffee, have water, eat something, and then come back and reapproach it again. I don't just go, put it in the fucking bucket. I tried to, you know what I mean? Try to just keep that constant work. But then sometimes you're like, oh, I'm just not going to do this. I'll find, so if I can't do what I wanted to do, I'll just go and hang my clothes up or sort my laundry out or do the things in the house. But then I go, I might just find excuses not to do what I wanted to do. But I do need to do this stuff. Yeah, like I'll never just like start painting a wall or disassembling something. It'll be like yesterday, my mum's got to move house, and she left me loads of stuff. Some I asked for, some I didn't, and it all arrived yesterday. My back was fucked, and I managed to get the neighbours to help me. I gave my old garden furniture a guy an electric scooter, which obviously when you told me the story, I was like, I did say to him, be careful on it, because I'm not riding around one with my size and my ability and skill set. So I gave him to that, and we put all the stuff away in the house. But then last night I was like, if I leave all this, it's never going to get done. So I unpacked all these like crystal glasses that my mum had given me for my dad and all these bits, and I just tied it up. So I came down this morning, I was like, I'm done. Like it was something I needed to do. Was it the best use of my time? No, but if I hadn't done it, who else is going to do it? When you live on your own, you're single, you got to do it. Otherwise it just mounts up.
Sometimes you have to do it for the future version of yourself, because then the future version of yourself is really happy the next day. Even to the point where you have to fill up your car with petrol because you have to go somewhere early in the morning.
Yeah.
You can either do it first thing in the morning
Yeah.
or you can just do it now. It might be annoying now, but in the
Yes.
morning when you're in a rush,
Yeah, that's a great analogy, because I often leave it and then I'm like, bollocks, I'm late and I get petrol. And
I've learned from my mistakes.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I know. But that's what I mean. I do think about, but I used to, when I was younger, I wasn't that organised, but now I've got a PA and bits. I will make myself a list. I'll pack the night before and do all that kind of stuff, because then you just try and do it in the morning. You never forget, and I have to write things down. It's just knowing yourself, like knowing what works for you and making it just for you. Like what works for me might not work for you.
100%. And then before we wrap up, I want to ask you, if somebody came to you and they were in a very dark space, we spoke about this briefly before, and there was a lot of self-doubt, maybe a lot of self-criticism, they don't see themselves moving forward in whatever it is that they want to do in life, what would you say to them?
So the first thing I'd listen, and I'd ask them questions without trying to offer them solutions, to start with, and go like, get a grounding of like, what is this? Because sometimes when people say stuff out loud, it can sound a bit ridiculous and they can fix themselves. So I put journal, really, because saying it out loud. And then I always recommend somebody get some professional help, because the honest answer is, if you had the solutions to fix yourself, you would have done it already, and you don't. And sometimes you have to do the work yourself and fix yourself, but you need the skill set to do it and you don't have the tools. So I always say to people, look, you need to get help. Like, if you want to change your body, you have to lift weights and eat well. If you want to change your mind, you have to find tools and modalities that work, that are repeatable, that will fix yourself. I would say that if you're feeling really dark, then there is different structures out there to help you, like crisis people, that I would recommend. And I would also say, look, it's not about fixing the bigger picture straight away. It's going back to being, how can we make you be 1 or 2% better than you were? Like, you might, if you've got debt, because, for example, with men, addiction and mental health and stuff, but there are driving factors, things like relationships, access to kids, financial stuff, that are big predominant factors for men taking their own lives. And sometimes it's very hard. You can't fix access to kids overnight, but you can try to drill down to something that would show some form of progress, or making something manageable, and the reason you share stuff is not necessarily sympathy, is you share stuff to formalize it in your own mind, to find a way forward, to then maybe get some therapy to help, or some skill set. Now, therapy is not going to help you make more money, but it might make you see clarity on how you can consolidate your debt and put a plan forward, because I truly believe strength is putting the work in and changing. Weakness is, I don't mean this against people who have taken life, but because they don't think they're doing the best thing for themselves, and the world's a better place. But it's far stronger to and braver to put the work in than it is to take the exit out, because that's not a break. You're doing something without ever trying to get out the other way. And I think if you could have said to yourself, look, can you get therapy? Can you help yourself? Can we structure your debt? Can we deal with your mental health? Can we get some addiction? It's better to hear your problems and have you around than you bottle it all up and do something stupid. And I think we're talking about mental health more so than ever, but I think there's a big gap between talking and action, and the right kind of action and the right kind of support, and also changing some of the stuff that perversely affects, for men in particular, like things like child courts and all that kind of stuff, how often they rule in favour of mothers instead of mothers. I'm not saying it's right, but you can't tell me that there aren't great dads out there that are all good mothers. You know what I mean? There's lots of politics around certain stuff like that I think needs to be changed. Financial stuff and debts and how quickly you take credit, all the things that just need to be looked at that would make more of an effect long term, I think. But I would give someone a shoulder. I'd give them advice to go and help someone. I would try to rationalise with them as to what was going on. I'd offer them advice and an ear, but I would recommend that they go and see someone and get some help, and actually do the help they need. But have the understand that it might not be the first person. You've got to kiss a lot of frogs to find the right therapist, basically.
Yep, you do. And you made a point that it's not going to happen overnight. You're not just going to wake up magically healed or in a
No.
better place the next day.
No.
It's a process and it's a journey, and there'll be up days, down days, 2 steps forward, 1 back, 1 forward, 2 back.
Yeah.
It will just be and just because maybe you are getting there and then you have a really bad day or week, that doesn't mean it's over forever. It's just a bad phase, time, moment. If you begin getting the tools in place, you start to use them and you keep going.
Yeah, and people, look, there's no perfect recipe. People fail and relapse and have bad days. But as I said, you have to understand that you're never going to escape your mental health issues. But what you can do is create a life where you can live with them, manage them, get better at them to the point where they maybe don't surface for a long period of time, or maybe you spot them coming on the horizon miles off and you stop them. That's all I think you can do. But the bravery and the strength and the right thing to do is to fight as opposed to doing something stupid, because there's so many stories about people who wanted to do something and came back from the brink and ended up changing their lives for the better and for others. But in those dark times, you can't see a way out, and it's hopefully helping someone to see that there is light, and life is such a precious thing that you need to squeeze as much juice out of it as you possibly can.
100%, and you've got to take the good with the bad, but also my favorite thing is light and dark. You can't see the stars in the sky without the darkness behind it. You just can't.
No.
So yes, darkness happens. It's going to happen. It's inevitable, unfortunately. But you can find the light as well. Yeah. And when you find those light times, enjoy them, hold on to them, dance with them, whatever it is that really makes you feel it and fuel it. Just go with it and enjoy it.
Agreed.
Is there anything else you'd like to share today?
No, I don't think so. I was just laughing about you at the cosplay thing. I was laughing about saying when I'm going to come to Comic-Con dressed as Chewbacca. No, I've enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I don't know. I've talked a lot, but that's it's always the way with me. So I apologise if I spoke too much, but I've enjoyed it. So it's nice to talk about something that wasn't rugby, specifically.
Good. Well, I'm glad. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being here today. Life will knock us down. Sometimes hard, and sometimes more than once. And when it feels impossible, know that your story isn't over yet. Sometimes when everything is falling apart, it's really falling into place. You have the power to rise, to heal, to make magic, and to evolve. And you have the power inside you. We all do. You have the power to get back up.